peace through strength message, and it's going to come through again, yet again. And now, we're going to see some good things out of that.
Well, Julie, the thing that probably act it's the same thing in Iran. He doesn't want to punish the Iranian people. If I was going to take over a country or a war or whatever, there would be zero coming out of Iran. There would be no power. You would cripple that country. So, in my eyes, they can't see this. Like there's this compassion going on. I don't think we're hearing the right story.
No, me either. And guys, go down that purple bubble, like and reshare the space. Please, if you can, go over to Rumble and to YouTube, the American X Live. It is being live streamed over there. If you can just give it the thumbs up, get that up in the algorithm, that would be appreciative. Thank you very much for that.
Well, thank you, Julie. Appreciate that. Hey, Goat, you want to jump in there?
Yeah, just real quick. I'm heading back into work here. But as far as the whole Iran thing goes, if Trump has made the decision that that's what's best for America first, right? I mean, that's our rallying cry, right? America first. If that's the decision he's made, then I'm good with it. But if it's at the behest of anyone else, I'm not so good with it. And I get, who knows if we'll ever know that, but that's my.
Now, when he texted me on Friday and saying, "Oh, you're still supporting that nut in the office," and blah 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 blah. But the very first thing I say to him, I says, "Hey, did you see the state hanging of those three athletes?" "Oh no, I didn't hear that story." What a volleyball player last year was hung for the same reason? That never comes out. Yeah, Joe. Yeah, go.
Well, and also they've killed quite a few American citizens over the last 30, 40, 50, how many ever years. I mean, they have done, so yeah, I support Trump. I will. I can question though, right? I mean, I think we all should be able to question anything. I have no problem with that. But yeah, so.
Question, yeah.
Oh, wait. One question. I'm sorry. So, Goats, my husband had a good question about this morning. He is a big Trump supporter. He's awake, but he's not like awake. But anyway, his question to me was, all right, so remember when Bush went into Iraq with the weapons of mass destruction, and then it turns out there was no weapons of mass destruction. His question to me was, what are they going to really look into this and see how much nuclear power really was in Iran, or is it? Or are we going to find out? He feels like this might come out in the future, just like it did with Bush when he went into Iraq and found out that there was no weapons of mass destruction. Are we going to find the same thing out? And so all these people and I said, well, first of all, it's a lot different because this war is looking like it's pretty much over. I mean, it's going to end. I'm not saying that there's not going to be fractions of outliers out there still causing trouble, because there's a lot of people that are still loyal to the Islamic regime. But is this going to be looked into, and are they going to find out that there really wasn't the nuclear capability like they thought that there was? I don't know. This was a question that was asked to me this morning. So if anybody can answer that.
Do we remember what the man said? Right, he stood on top of the rubble pile in New York and said, "Hey, we're going to go get the people who did this." That's what he said. He said that in front of the American people, right? They only told Iraq that we were coming for a full year. A year. We told them that we were coming for a complete year. So I don't understand. You don't think that they could hide them in a year? You don't think that, hey, Iran has this enriched uranium behind the scenes? Well, before you go back.
Thank you. Yeah, i- Israel's been talking about Iran having, nukes for many. They're 5 minutes away, 5 minutes away for all these years, right? And then let me just throw this out there, just as a little. I don't know if anybody saw the Netanyahu. I don't know what speech, who he was giving it to and from the other day, but he told the world. Now, I want you guys to listen to this. He told the world that Jesus Christ has no power over evil on this planet. None.
That's what Beatty said.
Yes, absolutely.
He's definitely not on my favorite subject either. So another divisionary tactic to kind of take Christians out of it. I don't know. He's not a fan.
But it okay, so it makes sense, right? Coming from a Jewish person, because they don't believe that Jesus is the Messiah. They don't even believe he was just a person. They believe he was kind of a false prophet, right? So, but to say it out loud like that, because I don't think a lot of Christians realize that, but to say it out loud to the world was kind of wild to me.
Well, go ahead, Jeff. Why don't you jump in there and then maybe we'll say hello to Truth.
Hey, good morning. Good morning. I was saying some prayers the other morning. Ruth, really appreciate your prayer spaces over the weekend. And I came across this picture of the Southwest Airlines flight crew and how back in the 70s everybody seemed to be pretty happy. I just love that picture, and to see the crash at LaGuardia. Seems that the truck didn't, the fireman didn't. I think the tower made a bad call. It was pretty foggy, and that's pretty terrible. But to put a nuclear bunker 300 plus feet underneath the ground, that's crooked as heck. And you know what they were doing there. If you were doing what was right, you'd have put it up top, right? So we already know. And as far as the Strait of Hormuz, I guess since we're securing the insurance in the strait, we're going to go ahead and make sure that it's clear. It's about as simple as it gets. And you know, the Iranians, they should have thought about taking our hostages back in 1979. And when Trump was 34 years old, he said, I think we should have gone in there immediately and got them out. And the rest of the world would have had to stay quiet because they took our hostages. And when you're a day late and a dollar short, bad things happen. Sort of like that one guy here. They hired all a bunch of people that couldn't speak English at the airport. He drove a piece of equipment onto the runway. Imagine that. And so the flight had to divert. They seen him down there on the runway, and he pulled up and got out of the way, and they made him. We got that guy off of the runway, but no speak English. Poor fella. But nobody got hurt on that one. But yeah, we need to get some order in this country, and I just appreciate it, Marlon. What happened? You know what happened. So we're in charge from here on out, sir. I'll yield.
Well, good to see you, Jeff. Go ahead, Julie.
Yeah, and then I don't know if anybody saw it. It was just last week. There was almost a midair collision between two jets at Newark Airport again because of the traffic control. So I don't know what's going on there. That's a little scary. And now the traffic control tower was evacuated for smoke and was shut down. It's a new story just came out. I just saw on X here on ABC News was putting it out. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on, and Newark Airport's a mess. I don't know if you've been there lately, Marlon. It's not the airport you knew about. You go in, it's like
I try to avoid that airport. Newark's probably hour and 45 minutes. The reason that we fly out of Newark at some dates, because out of Newark you can get a lot of direct flights. Out of Philadelphia, there's always a connection. So we will go up to Newark to fly out, especially if you're doing anything international.
they have a lot more direct flights. That airport there, Newark, is much bigger than Philadelphia. A whole lot, probably double the amount of air traffic in that airport.
Yeah, I've only been down to Philadelphia once. I had my nephew flew out of there to Washington State, back home, and this was a long time ago, maybe in the early 2000s. So I haven't been there in a long time. But I mean, I don't know if you guys have seen the pictures. I think Mama was putting out pictures of yesterday in New Orleans of the airport there. That was going, the TSA line was going all the way into the parking garage. I mean, this is insane, insane. It defies. I just hope that this is fixed. We're going away next month, the end of the month. But I think even if it gets turned back on, I mean, they say that like I said, ICE is helping. Hopefully they'll keep them there for a while, even if it gets brought back up, because it's going to take a long time for this to get settled out. So, a lot of people have resigned and quit.
Well, again, hey, I think it would be a good opportunity for kids to become there.
I just want to be fair, Marlon. I mean, I've worked around a lot of good aviation people throughout my career, and I've been a federal aviation administrated mechanic for 35 years. I got my power plant rating in 1990, and from that point till now, all the mechanics that I've worked with have never had any trouble with any deaths of any planes going down ever. Okay. I've known some people that made some mistakes and the planes got on the ground on other crews, right? But on our particular crew here at my airport, all of our guys are clean and they do their very best effort to keep the plane safe. And it's safer to fly than it is to drive, Marlon, especially in Jersey and New York City. No way.
Well, anybody that's not from this part of the country, you can't imagine the traffic that's there. Even Philadelphia, man, and South Jersey is affected by this big time, right? It's the major artery here. What a pain in the ass, the traffic. I don't look forward to it. You know when the worst of it is usually like Monday mornings and Friday afternoons. That 295, 42, they become like gridlock. It's such a pain in the ass, and especially in the mornings because, oh, yeah, hey, we'll just leave right from the shore, it makes hours worth of traffic here. I don't think most people understand.
I was making a joke, because Houston's terrible. Houston is terrible traffic. It's probably worse than Jersey and New York City combined. That's terrible. It's like LA. Yeah, this sucks.
Oh yeah, traffic. I got to deal with that all the time. I drive. I probably drive 50,000 miles a year, and just in my 3 counties. I mean, that's how much I'm in the truck. But anywho, hey, maybe we can say hello to Truth there. Truth, how you doing, man? Happy Monday morning.
Hey, FYI, the top goes back and forth between number 1 and number 2 for the worst traffic in the world. That's LA, the 405 and the 101, where they interchange, or Honolulu, believe it or not, in Hawaii. So, yeah.
How can that be? How can Honolulu have worse traffic?
Come on, man.
Because it's a freaking tiny island with more cars than is supposed to. I'm surprised the island hasn't sunk from all the damn cars.
Just like Guam, that senator said. Remember that, Truth?
Okay, Coach.
My vote's for the I-5 corridor between Seattle and Tacoma.
Oh,
Yeah.
I know that, Truth. I mean, Ghost, I know that one. Oh my gosh, when I leave my brother's house to go back to SeaTac, woo, you have to leave early.
Yeah, well, tell you all have lived in LA and freaking driven the 405 right there by the 101. You have no idea. It's so bad.
I mean, the I-5 between, we used to work in Seattle. I lived in Tacoma, worked in Seattle for a while, painting some apartments, and driving back, you could just be sitting in a spot for two hours. And one time, me and my dad were sitting in traffic trying to come back, and it came on the radio that there was an Eric Clapton concert up in Seattle, and they were letting some 150 extra tickets go. Sitting there in traffic, got on the thing, ordered some tickets. Me and my dad still in our paint whites, painted all up, did a U, turned around, went to see Eric Clapton in Seattle instead of trying to go home and sit in traffic.
That's the way to do it. But you just basically either have to have a motorcycle in LA or just don't drive. It's so bad.
Yeah, see, that's what they do here. Like if you're going up and we're sitting in traffic in 42, right? We're headed up to the exchange. The turnpike goes over there, 295. There's a major corridor there. 130 comes in, and the traffic there is just unbearable. But the motorcycles, what they'll do is and there's cops usually sitting there where 55 comes into 42, yada yada yada. But they'll take the motorcycles and they'll run up between the traffic. I can't tell you how many times it came close where, hey, this dude, just about clipped my mirror on his way by. Now, I mean, he's, the traffic is stopped and the bikes are going.
I'm gonna solve that one day, Marlon. I'm gonna open my door. I'm gonna get a beater and I'm gonna open my door on one of them boys. Oh. They do that on bicycles here in Indy. The bicycle will be in between cars, and I'm like, one day I'm gonna see one of them just the right time in my mirror, and bam,
bam. Yeah, that would definitely ruin the day.
Well, it's legal to do it in Cali. It's illegal in most other states, and you get used to it, and you notice a lot of stuff when you're cutting lanes on a bike. How most people are sitting there texting on their damn phones, not paying attention to nothing. But it's a legal thing. People have to give you the right of way. You can split lanes between the fast lane and the lane next to it, and technically you're not supposed to go over 25 miles an hour. Technically, that ain't gonna happen. And in Tennessee, you can actually, if there's traffic, you can go on to the shoulder on a bike and pass by that way. These are the only two states that I know of where it's technically legal for that.
Yeah, definitely not legal here, brother.
Well, I won't be coming to Jersey anytime soon, so I don't care.
Go ahead, Jules.
Yeah, guys, try driving Route 80. It's an experience. Or the Parkway. Yeah, another experience. Anyway, Truth, while we've got your attention. I saw over the weekend, like I said, I was working, but the flooding is horrific in Hawaii. Any updates on that?
Yeah, lots of my family got affected. It's all the islands. Maui got hit pretty much the hardest, but Big Island is. They got rivers going down their freaking streets, and Oahu had some evacuation. My dad's on Oahu, so it's pretty crappy. You know what I mean? But nobody seems to care. Nobody, does that. And then apparently the fires. There's a whole bunch of fires, like destroying cattle, ranches, the whole nine, out in Nebraska, and they have another one in Wyoming, and it's all towards cattle ranches. There's no damn coincidence here, and people are comparing the Nebraska fires to the random Maui fire that came out of nowhere. So a lot of stuff going on.
I saw that, Truth, and they said it's like millions of acres, and it's not. I haven't heard anything about this on mainstream media, on the news, nothing. Just what I'm seeing in articles on X.
Yeah, of course you won't.
Okay.
No, sorry. You talk about also all the stuff that's been going on in Minnesota that people notice with all the invasion, basically. Well, Nebraska is almost worse, and a lot of people never even know that, don't even talk about it. Nebraska, you wouldn't even recognize it if you go into Nebraska. I'm telling you. I've ridden this country many, many, many times. And Nebraska, you cannot even recognize that place. It doesn't look like America.
Well, hey, I'm not saying hey it's a good thing with the fires, especially in like Nebraska or Wyoming, like you said. Obviously you're not hearing about it. The only good thing is that hey, when that fire rolls through those grasslands, that grass pops right back up. So we're hearing it. Maybe it's going to put a detriment on the load here coming out for the spring, but now is the growing time. So they could quickly recover is what I'm trying to say. And then to Hawaii, Truth, I did not really get a chance to look, but was there some particular reason why they got so much rain? Was it more of a storm system or like just the upwelling out of the sea up onto the mountains to create condensed, and produce rain, right? I mean, that happens there.
Yeah, Kauai has the most rain in the world. It's called the Garden Isle. You guys are the Garden State, but it's the Garden Isle. So the most rainfall is on the island of Kauai, anywhere, and that's why the waterfalls are so beautiful, whatever. But it's tropical rain; it's kind of different. But a lot of my cousins and aunties and uncles that live there still, they were telling me that they started seeing a whole bunch of chemtrails like they'd never seen before, a couple days before all this stuff happened. And I'm not trying to play the whole card of conspiracy crap, but I'm sorry, it's not a conspiracy. Everybody knows that cloud seeding, all that kind of stuff happens. It's the worst they've ever seen their entire lives of living there. And just, you call that a coincidence that just happened, and then the most gnarly rainstorm ever? Come on, one
So
plus one is two.
it's funny that you say that because yesterday I'm sitting out, and I mean it was a beautiful day yesterday, and in the morning it was still chilly, it was cold, and then it brightened up quick, and it jumped up from like in the middle 50s to in the middle 70s, so like 20 degrees happened quick.
See, but
But
in Hawaii, the tropical rain is very different. Unless it's a hurricane with crazy rains, tropical rain is super different. It's just you see these little clouds coming. We used to joke with each other, because one person could be standing right next to you in the rain and you could be not in the rain because it's just this little tropical rain cloud. And then, when we were at the beach, if the tropical rain would come to the beach, we'd be like, hey, hurry up, everybody jump in the water before we get wet from the rain. So, it's very different. That's just not natural. Sorry, but that's not.
okay, so hey, I did post a video. It was I don't know, 20 seconds or whatever, but you could see where the chemtrail stopped, right? And then another plane came behind it and started it again, right where it stopped. And actually, if you look at the video, you can see it coming out of the one jet, right? It's there. You can see the guy start, and then if you look it below, because that's to the west. If you look below, there's like 3 or 4 other lines there in the sky. I mean, they were just plastered everywhere here yesterday.
Yeah, and whatever idiot tries to argue and says it's a contrail is an idiot, because contrails dissipate. You'll see it behind the plane for like it looks like from the bottom here, 20 feet or half the distance of the plane, but then it's gone. The chemtrails last almost the entire day, and you see this huge, these chemtrails lasting forever and ever and ever. So whatever person comes in and tries to defend, oh, it's a contrail, just shut up before you even come up here. Just shut up.
Well, I mean, it is not natural. There's no way. I remember back in school, and then maybe we'll go to Julie quick, and then we'll go to Tin. And I remember back in school there was cloud descriptions, right? Cumulus, cumulus nimbus, cirrus clouds, altostratus, stratus, all these different categories of clouds. But now that I'm looking at it, it's just impossible that this is natural. I mean, you can see it. The vapor coming out of the air, out of a jet, yes, maybe 20 jet lengths, and then it dissipates. These are across the sky. They stay the entire time. Now, that's what makes me wonder. Like, okay, great. They're spraying this, but our weather, goes from west to east, right? So by the time they lay this down, it's off the Atlantic seaboard, the eastern seaboard, before maybe it gets a chance. I mean, is it? I don't understand how they set them up and then days later you don't, like, those chemicals don't stay in the air. I mean, they're moving from west to east. So I don't understand it, but they were plastered everywhere. I mean, look at the video. It's in there. Okay, Julie. And then we'll go to
Yeah, I just wanted to go back on the fires that are in the Midwest and everything. I understand what you were saying, like the regrowth, that it's a fast thing. And I know, about controlled burning, and that is necessary. That's why California has the problems they have, because they don't do controlled burning anymore. And a lot of this undergrowth, but this is like devastating. And it's, again, it's also not just the land itself, the housing, the cattle, everything is being affected by this. So I think it's a bigger thing that we should keep an eye on, at least. Just keep an eye on it, because, like Truth said, they are comparing it to Lahaina, and what they were doing there. So it's just weird that we're having this extreme weather, this extreme problems going on in the last, I don't know, 10 years or whatever. It's just gotten worse and worse, maybe a little bit longer than that, but it's just crazy.
Has it though? I mean, now that everybody's got a phone in their hand, and now, hey, you're looking at it. But a lot of these disasters were there long before social media was. So I don't see an uptick. I see some extreme weather, and yes, hey, some people. I'm sure Tim's got a lot to say about it, about steering these thunderstorms in the middle of the country. Aggravating the atmosphere to wring it out like a wet towel. I mean, that's basically. That's why I'm just wondering how it was set up. Was it out of the northeast for Hawaii? Taking that ocean moisture, dumping it up the sides of these mountains that are high, and condensing and producing rain. I mean, we have that same thing here, Julie. Right, when we get this easterly flow, it produces moisture over the land. So, I'm just wondering. I would really like to see some clips of maybe the radar on how it worked and how it got started with Hawaii, like a quick scenario of the last couple of days. I think it would be quite informational. Go ahead, Tim.
Man, there's so much in this. I don't know where to start, but let's start at the very basics. People that try to deny that weather modification isn't real forget one thing. Our atmosphere is very fluid dynamic. It operates very similar to the properties of water. Hence, that it's made up part of a hydrogen, nitrogen, and oxygen. So therefore, if you're dumping rain in one section, you'll lose that moisture in another section. So if we look at what's happening this week, okay, I'm getting storms like crazy a lot earlier than I ever have in my tornado season. Friday afternoon, even my own mom told me that she was outside. She could see them, dumping stuff in the atmosphere to the point her and I got sick. We had severe congestion. She was very dizzy. She was trying her best not to get sick, like throw up. I couldn't hardly breathe during that day. And we had storms come in on Sunday night. You also have a high pressure sitting out over Mexico. And the thing to keep in mind is when you have high pressure, the air is stable. You have stable air, sunny skies. Sunny skies means no moisture. No moisture means dry area. Dry area is perfect for fire. Another part, too, I dumped a couple of documents down in the Pill. And for the naysayers say this doesn't exist, guys, I've chased storms since I graduated high school and I had a car. I jumped in a 1991 Buick Park Avenue white vehicle, and I chased a tornadic supercell, not knowing a crap what I was doing. Lucky I didn't get killed. But I've chased weather ever since then. For the longest time, I didn't want to believe weather modification was real because I wanted to believe that we weren't that powerful enough to touch it. But when I sat down and did some really deep researching and trying to understand from a meteorological point of view, they can touch it. There's a document below from General Electric from 1954 that documents Project Sirius. They talk about the scientists involved. They talk about the experiments involved, how much success they had. And this was just cloud seeding. You also have a website that I found from the state of Texas government about weather modification. And here's the interesting part. If you spend $700 on a license, you can legally modify Texas weather. If weather modification doesn't exist, why does that webpage exist? They have weaponized weather. If you go back to 1970s, the Geneva Convention, they talked about banning weather modification as warfare tactics. It's supposedly passed in 1976. But we can see evidence of extreme weather from the 1960s to 1970s that we haven't seen since then. April 3rd, 1974, 148 tornadoes, 6 devastating F5s, 24 devastating F4s. We haven't seen anything like that since then.
Jen, could you do me a favor? And,
Yeah.
and maybe you have the resources to be able to do it. Is there any way that we can actually look and look at a condensed clip of, hey, this training of the moisture in Hawaii? Because that's what it sounds like. It sounds like, the perfect weather scenario. Hey, struck that island. There's a lot of updraft there when they go up those mountains, right? And truth, correct me if I'm wrong, but on the Big Island, that volcano carries a snowcap there. Is that correct?
I didn't catch the last part. The volcano what?
Does the Big Island, Kilauea, I think that's the name of the volcano, is that snow capped?
No, Kilauea can't get snow, but that's one of the live volcanoes. You got Mauna Loa, Mauna Kea, and Kilauea. So
Okay,
Mauna Loa gets snow. You can ski a volcano. You can ski Mauna Loa or even Mauna Kea, but Kilauea is the one that's always live and active.
So the reason I asked, Tin, is because if you could imagine taking it from a ocean temperature of 74, 75 degrees, and take it up those big giant mountains like that and have the moisture just wrung out of the atmosphere onto those mountains. I mean, it's a training effect, right? I would love to see a condensed clip of, hey, maybe the last 2 weeks of the weather pattern that really set it up for Hawaii and make us understand. Or, hey, if you actually looked at the clip, you may be able to find out, hey, this is where they did it. I think there's some evidence there, if you catch my drift.
I think I know what you're asking. Let me do some research to see what I can find, because it's going to take some digging, and I might be able to prove it, not maybe through a radar loop, but I might be able to prove it through surface observations. And because here's the thing, when you have humidity up and a very high, dew points up very high, that means the atmosphere is absorbing a lot of moisture, and you can actually predict rain that way. Let me see what I can dig up. I'll try to dig up some information this evening.
Yeah, just I think the cloud formation, you'll be able to see it happen. Definitely if they took like the last 2 weeks clip or whatever, Anyway, just a thought. Go ahead, Goats, and then we're going to.
This is what I've always thought about weather modification. And to me, it's kind of common sense, right? So in the world, we have these systems over top of us, right? That are just, nature systems. And weather is one of those systems. And what from the beginning of civilization have we been trying to manipulate as a people? Weather. I mean, from rain dances to, just the most basic. We've been trying to manipulate weather since we became human. So to think that we haven't, with science, figured out a way to do something, I think is kind of common sense to me.
I want to back Chin up on that was Rainmaker that had the contract to do the cloud seeding in Texas right before the flood at the girls' camp on the Guadalupe River when they connected there at Kerrville. And Jim Lee, our friend, was on that space a while back when we were discussing that. Tim, you reminded me of that. And of course, the best cloud seeders in the world are in Dubai, where they pay billions of dollars to make it rain out there with the strips of aluminum and titanium. So there's some funny business going on 100%. And whoever said that there's no funny business, well, they didn't pay attention. But thanks for reminding me of that, Tim. Appreciate it.
Why did Tennessee pass legislation not to spray their skies? Right? I just don't think there's enough pointing the finger yet. But why are these states passing legislation like that? Why does my skies look like that yesterday in New Jersey, right? I know we got a couple of new hands, but Tim, did you want to add something quick, and then maybe we can go to K-Swizzle, Country Biscuit, and Jeff?
Yeah, I'm going to add some. I want to add to what Jeff was saying too, and to what Goats was saying. The thing to keep in mind when it comes to our weather, our atmosphere is very fluid dynamic. You have oxygen, nitrogen, hydrogen that you're messing with, and it comes down to changing temperatures. Lower, the hotter the moisture, the more buoyancy it is, the more lift you have. The colder it is, the heavier it gets, the more dense it gets, and it's more apt to drop back to the ground. If you can change those two variables just at the very basic level, it just comes down to basic physics. You either raise the temperature or you drop it. It has a cause and effect. And that's basically what I think a lot of people who have a hard time accepting weather modification fail to realize. And one group that you're going to have a hell of a time to try to convince, and I wish there was another way to convince them, but it's like another form of TDS. It's really freaking weird. It's the storm chasing community. It has been brought up, especially around Ryan Hall and them, and it has caused such a heck of a controversy that if you can get them on board, then I think the weather modification will come right on out, and there's nothing they can do to stop it. But they're the hardest ones to convince right now.
All right, so yeah, but Tim, what I'm trying to point out that, hey, this can happen naturally. And I'm not saying, hey, they're not manipulating the weather, but if you took that warm, hot moisture and sent it up those island mountains, think about the temperature change from the bottom of the mountain to the top. You're swinging 40, 50 degrees. Of course, you're going to be able to wring out the atmosphere. It does the same exact thing here. If we have a hard southwest, there's a barrier. There's a line here in central New Jersey where that has got an easterly flow. It condenses and it trains here. That's what I'm trying to pick out. And when we look at the cloud formation over the last couple of weeks, and like you said, I don't know where we would find that, but if you looked at that, the progression of it would, if it was a particular pattern, on the backside of a high that's giving them the northerly winds. I mean, it could happen very easily, right? The ocean would be just a little bit warmer out in front on the northern sides. There's a lot of boundaries there. I'm trying to pick it out to where, this does happen naturally. I just want to point out the fact that this does happen. I've seen it here, and unfortunately, I'm not saying, hey, Hawaii didn't get hit with this or they manipulated it, but it does happen naturally. So I just want to make that point.
Well, one more thing, Marlon, too, and I'll be quick because I know we got hands hanging out there. The thing to look for in something like this, we have to rule out who does this benefit? If you want to find out if it's natural, we need to find out who it benefits. Right now, Hawaiian Islands are getting inundated with flooding, so we know that. So there's really not much there. But like True said, you have the ranchers out in Nevada and those areas that are being devastated by fire. Well, without grass, our cattle can't feed. If our cattle can't feed, they starve, and there goes our food supply. So it's basically war tactics that we've. It's basically war tactics of going after the food chain or the supply chain. So what we'll need to find is the trigger point of what's causing those rains that's preventing the moisture from getting over to where, because naturally moisture, I'm trying to figure out how to explain it because flooding is not that common.
How would be easier? How would probably be easier is looking at the moisture content. Like what's those plumes, you could see that in the middle of the country, whether or not the dew points are relative or they're higher or lower. It has a lot to do with the relative humidity, elevation, temperature. I mean, these things do happen naturally. I'm just putting that out there.
No, I hear you, but I'll land there because I'm getting kind of confused in my own head.
let me go to K Swizzle, and then we'll get Julie to jump in there. We'll go to Country Biscuit and.
Good morning, you guys. To add on a little bit to what Tinfoil and Jeff said, please remember that the weather modification during the Texas floods, there was a podcast, and I want to say that it was Sean Ryan's. I can't recall for sure. He interviewed some young man on a weather modification, and he was talking about it's all over the United States, and he tied it back to Qatar as well. He is funded by the Clintons and tied back into the Clintons. I remember that research from when the flood happened. Do I have that accessible at my fingertips at this moment? No, but it is somewhere on my page. The other reason that I wanted to speak is you were speaking about the fires. There are a lot of fires right now in good old Oklahoma. If you'll remember, in the Western Panhandle, we just had a huge soar of them less than a month ago. I don't remember the timeline. Time's weird right now. It's blending, and when you're taking care of a family, it really blends. But our biggest ranching areas out here are Osage County, the Panhandle, and Rogers County. And Osage County is our largest county here in Oklahoma. Just some key points I'd like to point out about that is it's where our AG for the state resides, Ginter Drummond, who supposedly was a Trump supporter who turned around, stabbed Trump in the back, and supported Biden. Then you've got Chelsea, Oklahoma, which is Rogers County, completely on fire. They evacuated that city last night. That's not normal for us to have an evacuation from a fire out here. Generally speaking, it is more for the Panhandle, but not out in the rest of the lands. You've had, in my personal opinion, if you follow the Q drops, this is Antifa. It hits on the clock. It hits in the drops yesterday, but you've had 15 shootings from 3/21 to yesterday in just Tulsa, Oklahoma. You've had stabbings, you've had hanging, suicides, and then you've had the fires. So something doesn't add up. It smells funny, but it definitely is attacking our ranching land out here. And that's all I have to add for now.
Well, I know Truth came up and he said something about, hey, this is a direct attack. There was, I think a few months ago, there was other fires that were directly affecting some of the people that volunteered to get into the ARA with us. So there's a lot of skeptical behind it, but also I just want to make sure that, hey, we're not getting Tin, I know that they manipulate the weather. Blue Canaries, I just reached out to her. She had sent me patents on that. These windmills were actually mitigating weather, manipulating air pressures, a whole lot of evidence behind it. So I'm not denying any of it, but I want to try and pick out the ones that are caused and which ones are natural. Go ahead, Julie.
Well, that's what I was just going to add on. I think even some of these natural, and I'm doing air quotes, but you can't see that, natural ones, which there definitely is natural ones. I believe it, Marlon. I'm not saying that everything is manipulated, but they're more, the natural ones are even more extreme. Are they adding fuel to the fire, knowing that there's going to be a storm, say like Superstorm Sandy that came? Okay, that was once in a lifetime thing that happens only every 100 years, they say, blah, blah. Like, are they seeing something like that and then manipulating it to make it more extreme? So like these crazy fires that we're seeing all over the Midwest, like I said, there's natural burns, there's natural fires that happen, and they let them controlled burns. But are they more extreme now? Is the flooding in Hawaii? Is it, yeah, this happens, but are they making it more extreme? That's my question. Or that's what I think is happening, that they're just manipulating natural things that they know are going to happen. You're watching the weather, and then they're making it worse.
I agree. I know. Hey, look, Country Biscuit and Gypsy have their hands up. Can we just go to Country Biscuit? How you doing? Good to see you. And then we'll go to you, Gypsy.
I'm doing good. Feeding critters. As far as the fires go, I got a couple of things. As far as the fires go, there are patents where they can put fires out with low frequency. Now we're getting on the frequency thing. Everything they taught you about how weather is made, you have to forget. Weather is all based on frequencies. They control the highs, they control the lows through frequencies, through the aerosol spraying, putting metal in the air, exciting the metal, using the NEXRAD radars, creating highs, creating lows during the weather. As far as the rain, anybody that's ever done construction knows if you use a tamper and you tamp long enough, you bring the water up to the surface of the ground. Same thing with the atmosphere. If you vibrate it enough, you bring the water down. It's all based on frequencies. It has nothing to do with how they told us weather works or anything. It's frequency, energy, vibration. Okay, I'm done.
Well, Country, hey, it's good to see you. And the reason that I'm so passionate about it is because, hey, I'm affected by it. I'm a big outdoorsman. I'm gardening, and that's why, hey, these people that, experience it here and have kept their eye open and their antennas up. That's what I like. And so I appreciate that income.
We're all affected by it, and that's what they want. They want us all to be, you know how you're moody on a cloudy day and yada yada yada. That's what they survive off of. Now, I'll post some pictures as soon as I get done here throwing some hay out that actually shows the frequencies in the clouds, and there's no denying it. But I'll post them in a little bit.
Oh yeah. Well, hey, just like that video I posted this morning, right? That was taken from my front porch, and to watch that happen, that's not natural. So anyway, I'm confused, and we better get some answers. I think we're all demanding it. Hey, real quick before we go to you, Gypsy, I know you've been hanging on. Carmen, I see you came up. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing good this morning, Marlon. It's good to see everybody, and just here trying to catch up with the conversation. I hear about the chemtrails, but that's all I was hearing about. So, good morning.
Well, that video is taken from my front porch. So,
Hey, Marlon, hang on a second. And to back everything up that I've said, there's patents on all of it.
I did reach out to Blue Canaries because she sent me patents of windmills that mitigated the weather, lowering air pressure. And we're going to go to you, Gypsy. We had, when we were talking about windmills years ago, when people really didn't know what was going on, we had a lot of testimony of people that came up across the country that hey, they installed these windmills and they feel like the health of their own community had degraded. More doctors visits, just didn't feel good. And they talked about, hey, those windmills were actually lowering the pressure in that valley. This was absolutely, you know, people coming up and saying that. I didn't experience that, but these things are littered across our country. So let's go to Gypsy. Gypsy, how you doing? Good to see you.
Good morning. It's been a minute. So thanks so much for the mic and letting me speak. So there is from the 70s. I got it off the Wayback Machine a while ago already. But in the 70s, there was a number of countries, including the US and Canada, who signed an environmental treaty. I can't remember the name of it. It's the treaty itself. I have a hard copy of it. It's sitting in my shop. But basically, it's a weather manipulation treaty, basically stating that one country cannot retaliate against another country as one is manipulating their weather. When they are doing so, they're also going to be manipulating the weather of their neighboring countries because they share airspace. And basically they can't, you know, retaliate negatively against each other as they're manipulating weather. So this was signed in the early 70s by right around 100 countries. And so this has been going on for a long time. And I don't know, I'm sure you've probably all watched, what is it called? I can't remember that documentary that was done a while ago. I keep thinking of The Shining, but it's not The Shining. But it talks about weather manipulation as well. And yeah, there are lots of patents and what have you. So just wanted to share that. Thank you.
Well, good to see you, Gypsy. And yeah, and again, we talked about this for years and years in the making here, and it's kind of fallen to the wayside. We're not talking about it much. DARPA, there was a lot of things going on when we were kids, and we had no idea. Go ahead, Gypsy, and then we'll go to 10.
Yeah, it's I'm up in Saskatchewan in Canada, which is beside Alberta. We're kind of in the west, and the chemtrails that we've had December, January were absolutely insane. And we are still getting snow every day. I still have 8-foot snowbanks in my yard. I'm trying not to be concerned about the growing season. Our growing season is short enough as it is. And I need to plant my seeds today, and I'm trying not to be discouraged. Last year, our growing season was absolutely horrendous because of what I feel is weather manipulation. And seeing what I've seen so far, we're either going to have a lot of rain, cold weather, something coming up with the amount of chemtrails that we've had. So thanks so much. Take care.
Well, great to see you. And hey, next time you come in and you got some time, hey, definitely jump up here as co-host whenever you get a chance, Gypsy. So it was great to see you. Go ahead, Tim.
So the frequency thing, I want to look into that more because I do believe that does have a big role in it. It's one of the things that Tesla talked about. If you understand the secrets to the universe, think in terms of frequency and vibration. And it's got me thinking that if that is solely what causes it, and the thing we learn in meteorology is it kind of comes at null and void, then that means we might be able to affect it a lot easier. And that means we might be able to counteract it. But then again, that's my science side thinking. Hence the...
Well, wait, before you go much further, now there's been talk that, hey, they have chemicals to reverse some of these additives have been, obviously added to our soil and, all kinds of things. So, there are grumblings in the background. Oh, this is the good spray. I mean, I don't know what to believe.
True. But if we go down to the basis of frequency and vibration, then I don't know if you guys remember. Oh man, I'm trying to remember his name. Well, the one guy that used to come in here, the one with the real raspy voice, and he has been ill for kind of some time since COVID.
Bubble?
Bubble, that's who it was. Thank you. He
Bumble died. Bumble died.
Oh, he did. I did
Yes,
not
he
know
did.
that.
Johnny Boston. Yes, he passed away.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. When he was in here the last time when we talked about it, he talked about using copper to ground out the soil, like in the garden or something where you're at, and it'll help counteract some of this weather modification. Now I'm wanting to look more into that, but Country, if you can post some of those links to those patents, I appreciate it because I want to look more into that. Because I've been trying to figure out how to counteract some of this stuff because some of the weather we're seeing, it's getting a little extreme. But I'll end there for now. I'm sorry to hear about Bubble. That sucks. And
As far as the links for the patents, just go to the patent office and just start searching because you're stumble upon other stuff that you weren't looking for. Trust me. There's over, what is it? I think 300 weather patent links, something like that, and you'd have to read each one as far as which one's for the frequency and yada yada. I had all that stuff saved. I've been doing this for like 10 years. I had all that stuff saved. I don't even know where I saved it all now because yeah, it's anyway. I posted some pictures down on the board, and also if you ever look when a cold front comes through just off the point of Louisiana in the Gulf of America, and it happens every single time. There's no way it's coincidence. There's a cloud making machine in the ocean out there off of Louisiana, off the coast of Louisiana.
Well, it wouldn't surprise me, Country. I'll have to say that. It wouldn't shock me at this point. Let's say hello to John. John, how you doing, man?
Good morning, everybody. Just wanted to pop up and say hi. I sent a few of you a link, and I put it in the chat below. There's a whole list of patents for weather modification. It's been going on for well over 100 years, so that's all down there. You can see, I mean, it's sourced. You just got to type in the links. I just put the list together. But yeah, it's all down there for you guys.
Oh, let me jump in one more second. I don't know if I mentioned it. As far as the fires, there's patents to use low frequency to put fires out. There's absolutely no reason fires should burn because there's a whole bunch of patents on that also.
If you would have told me that 10 years ago, I would have told you you're nuts, right? I mean, how many people are just waking up to the fact? You know who would really be rolling over in his grave right now is Iceman. He would be freaking out right now. And I had listened to the space that Brandy put out, and what his education on DARPA and what he knew, seeing it, him growing up at like a different stage, right? He was just that generation before us, so he was really up on it, man. He'd be flipping out right now. Look,
Marlon,
we told you.
Sorry, there's a bunch of us that tried to tell y'all 10 years ago, and we got told we were crazy, we were nuts, we were conspiracy theorists, and yada, yada, yada. We're waiting for you guys to accept this information because we got it all.
Yeah, it's nothing shocking. And I have to tell you, when I really got the education on the East Coast wind and really, hey, what it was there for, what was going on, how my government was swindling money out of the taxpayers here in New Jersey. I mean, I just about flipped my lid. But you know what? Nobody cared. Nobody cared then at all. I'm not saying, hey, I was the only one speaking out about it, but I have to tell you, when I started out, there wasn't too many people talking about windmills and how it was affecting their environment, what I was seeing, you know. So now that it's, you know, really coming to light here, talking about warfare between countries with the weather, I mean, that's incredible. Whoever controls the weather controls the planet, right?
I've been watching weather because I'm in Florida, right? So we have hurricanes all the time. I've been watching weather since, I don't know, 90s or something. And there was a hurricane. His name was Lenny, and they called him left something Lenny. This hurricane defied all anything a hurricane should do. It did the exact opposite. It was 100% obvious that it was being controlled.
You know, Julie, you had mentioned Superstorm Sandy, right? You know, and there's not too many storms that actually are on the East Coast and come up and they kind of follow the coast. Maybe sometimes, hey, they'll be diverted by North Carolina's coast there and it'll push it out to sea. A lot of the times it'll come right up the coast. But, you know, Superstorm Sandy, I don't know if you guys really remember that radar, man. Maybe that would be one that we could retrieve. But when that storm came up, you know, it was directly over my fishing grounds, right? The places I fish, and it stopped and integrated west. I mean, directly west. It wasn't like, hey, a slight turn. No. This storm stopped, made the left-hand turn. And remember, most of the damaging wind, storm surge is on the northern side of these storms, right? So that eye of Superstorm Sandy went directly over my house. when it was, we were expecting the worst. We thought, oh my God, trees are going to be down. We're going to be out of power. We never even lost power. It was everything to the north.
We lost all the power up this way in Northwest, and like you said, that inward, it was the tree devastation that was down. There was towns up here for weeks, and you know, we were talking about, I think on Friday we were talking about underground, you know, infrastructure and why are the, you know, power lines not put underground, blah blah. Well, the apartment buildings at the time I was living in, they had underground all their wires because it's up on a mountaintop. So we didn't lose any power there. So I can't tell you, my friends, my best friends and her family from Pennsylvania even was coming because they had no power in that part. I mean, for them to lose that much power from a hurricane that was on the coast, that's how bad it was.
I can watch y'all's nor'easters being created in Florida, along with that weather machine that's out there in the Gulf of America and cloud seeding, because 3 or 4 days before y'all get a nor'easter, they cloud seed the crap out of Florida, or they chemtrail the crap out of Florida. And then they fire up that machine in the Gulf of America, and you can literally watch the storms being made and crawl up the coast.
You mean even affecting the weather here as a nor'easter, right? I mean, that's the wintertime storms that we get there that nobody really talks about. These are just as devastating as hurricanes in the wintertime.
100%. I can watch them being made in Florida, in my backyard. I can watch the chemtrails, and then I can go to the radar and watch the cloud machine out there. And I don't know what you want to call it, some kind of weather machine in the Gulf of America. And I can tell when y'all are going to have a nor'easter.
Well, the weather manipulation, I think it's going to be a conversation in the future. What if we all found out that the entire lives were driven by these governments using controlled weather? I mean, that would be astonishing. Would most Americans accept that? I don't know. Maybe not.
What do you think the Falkland Island War was about?
You know, that's the history that we weren't taught, right?
Just look it up. Falkland Islands. Why would we be fighting there? Ask yourself that question to start with. and start looking into it and find out that there's a huge machine there that people want control of that has absolute control over the weather. You can call me crazy, but when you go down that rabbit hole, you're going to be like, oh my God.
Yeah, and you know, the rabbit holes are they going to be rabbit holes for much longer? I don't know, man. There's just such a storm that's a brewing, right? I don't know that we've kind of seen it all. Hey, what's going on with the Trump administration today? You know, they talked about you know, ceasefire on any power installations there in Iran. I'm kind of interested. It looked like the stock market took off today because of the talks of peace talk. Go ahead, Joel.
Yeah, actually, I was just going to say that. I was waiting for the new topic to come up because I really want to talk about that. You know, and his whole strategy with peace through strength. So if you read his latest truth about, you know, his 5-day ceasefire and the talks he's been having all weekend long, which is again testament to the fact that there are no leaks this time. I mean, he was, you know, in Mar-a-Lago, he was down in Palm Beach and all weekend, and he was working away, and he was in talks with these people. What is everybody's thinking that this is going to end soon? What's going to happen? You know, all their scare tactics of boots on the ground. I don't think that that's going to happen. I would be very interested to hear what people's thoughts are on what's going to happen next, like this 5-day ceasefire and talks negotiating. I mean, do you think that there's just still too many outliers of Islamic terrorists, Islamic revolutionists that are out there, that this is not going to happen, that the peace isn't going to happen? What are people's thoughts? Because that's interesting to me to find out. I think that we are definitely coming near the end, and this is why we're seeing all these other little things go on across the country, especially there, you know, the shutdown. He also told John Thune, you know, you need to cancel your Easter vacation because we want this America Save Act passed. Like, there's a lot of things going on, and now they're not going to have this, you know, talk of the war to distract people, because I think it's going to be over a lot sooner than they're trying to say it is. I don't know, what are people's thoughts on that?
I don't know. I think it's a good notion. I think that, you know, hey, you know, all the hysteria last week on this app was, oh, he's going to go put boots on the ground and he's sending the Marines in and, you know, put all this fear now. Now, you know, kind of cancel all that pretty quick here, huh?
Absolutely. And that's why I think it's so interesting. Carmen, what do you think? Because, like, I know you guys were probably talking about a lot of it in your space last night. I know he just put that truth out this morning, but, you know, look at what's going on with the airports, with the plane crashes, near misses. Now there was a smoke thing that was at Newark Airport. They closed down the tower. So, like, just crazy stuff going on.
Yeah, I think we were on. I believe, I can't remember whose space. Maybe Silent Space, when the airplane crashed. I mean, and the airplane crashed into a truck. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, it was a fire truck it hit. It was a small commuter plane. I think there was 75 people. The 2 pilots were killed, unfortunately. I mean, if you look at the front end of that plane, it's horrible. So, I mean, I could see why the 2 pilots were succumbed to this, because there was no front of the plane left.
Now let's keep in mind, and I'm sorry, Carmen, and I'll let you go, but let's keep in mind that, you know, look, the Democrats are holding back the funding of the DHS, right? So I don't understand. You got all this hysteria. Now you have problems with the air traffic controllers. You know, I think we're just seeing some of the strain.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say that we're seeing, you know, I really don't know what to make of it, Julie. I mean, there's a lot going on, and I think that yeah, I'm like Marla. I'm like, is this just happening, or is this like is this shit happening because people are causing it to happen? I mean, what happened in that airplane, and what happened with these fires? I do believe in the weather manipulation, 100%. I've known about that for years, and the patents, and so I just think that there's a lot more to this than what meets the eye. There's a lot going on. You got Kash Patel coming out talking about January 6th, where he's saying Nancy Pelosi is was a part of it. All this. You've got just a break, just news break that come out about Erica Kirk sitting down with Epstein, and and there's evidence showing that she sat down with Epstein and they were bringing models in. I mean, there's just all kinds of stuff breaking right now, and it's pretty crazy. But who's to know what's true and what's not, right? 72-hour window, but there's a lot of stuff breaking as we speak at right this moment. So there's a lot going on, Marlon and Julie.
Oh God, there's the other discussion, right? Oh man, I can hear it now. Let's nip this in the bud. You know what? No matter what happens with her, I want to keep on the notion of the revival that happened in this country. Even though Charlie Kirk's death was tragic, I think it sparked something that happened in this country, and I think it did it with a lot of the younger crowd. So hey, whatever she does, whatever comes out, I don't know what to believe, and it's hard for me to talk about it.
No, I don't think you lose. I don't think anyone needs to take away from the fact that of God, right? You can't. I don't think that taking away from God. I think what we take out of everything, out of all of this that's happening in our nation, is the fact that God is on our side, right? And this is in every aspect that's happening. Everything that's happening around me with health, everything that's happening around the world. God is in charge. He's in control. And at the end of the day, where do you stand with that, right? Where does your relationship with God, and that's the most important thing. So no matter what the narrative is, God's always in control, so I do believe that.
I think a lot of people get panicked. I think, when you hear, these stories coming out, now that I'm looking at, hey, what he said about Iran, remember, man, it's just such a ridiculous argument. It's the same thing with Putin with Ukraine, right? If Putin really wanted to go in there and cripple that country, he would have cut the power first thing. Number one, he would have went and cut the power, right? There would be nothing coming out of Iran if they went in and cut the power. Now they're talking about preserving it because, hey, I don't think they want to put these people in peril. You turn the lights out, turn the electric off, it could go primal pretty quick. And I don't think they want that. And that's a great notion. So all the propaganda that we heard last week of putting troops on the ground, it kind of negates that now, right? I mean, that's what we should be, looking at the examples. That's what I see, Carmen and Julie.
Yeah, I trust President Trump and the decisions he makes for this nation. I have a right to question things if I think they need to be questioned. I think anybody does. But eventually I try to go and get an answer. No one really knows what's really happening until they're sitting in that situation room, or they're in that briefing room, and they truly know, right? We go around to spaces, and there's a lot of guesstimations and downing Trump and all of this, and that's just one thing I'm not allowing in my space. Is the fact that our president has a lot on his shoulders, and he needs the American people to stand up and step out into their communities and involve themselves in their communities and get that part right. And that's and I think a lot of people that I see freaking out right now are the ones in the community that aren't on these platforms and that aren't hearing this firsthand. And that's when you get a lot of people freaking out. But I've yet to freak out. Maybe the other week, whenever I couldn't breathe really good. But when it comes to this nation, I don't freak out. I feel very comfortable. I feel safe under Trump's guidance, under his presidency, and I have had no reason to feel otherwise. I see things happening. I see people being called out. I see arrests being made, and I see incidents happening that I feel that Trump and his administration is going to take charge of, and they're going to handle it. I think the American people need to handle their backyard, and I think that's important.
Oh yeah. I think just not freaking out. Let's just see how, and I'm not the guy to stand back and say, hey, let it happen to me. I'm also not the guy that's going out there trusting the plan. I'm not setting myself up for a big fall here. If your expectations are a little bit lower and not expecting this giant guillotine and retribution to come like swift, it's not going to come like that. It's definitely not. Go ahead, Julie. Now maybe we can say hello to Carol. Or Apothecary.
Yeah, I just really quickly wanted to say, when you said about, people being scared and everything, well, that's what they've done to us for years. I mean, if you, are been controlled by watching the media for years, that's all that, they do is scare tactics, and everybody runs around with like chickens without heads on. It's just because that's the controlled chaos that they've done to us, and we're so easily triggered by that. Now, back to what Carmen was saying, there's things that are in our control and things that we're learning, and people on these spaces. What I really want to hammer down is that nobody knows what's going on in the administration. If we did, then there would just be leaks. There would be that thing. There is a lot of good researchers out there. There's a lot of good people that have put 2 and 2 together and that have followed this for a long time. Somebody like Kay Swizzle, who's just popped back up. John. I mean, there's people that I really follow and listen to. But again, those are based on what you have researched, and how I'm going to put it. And it sounds horrible to say, but it's almost like it's your opinions, and they're good opinions. And then you have to research it yourself, and then you have to come to your own decision, and and then take it from there. But that's what I'm seeing. I think that if we all really knew what was going on, then we wouldn't have this world we have. Then that would be just like the secrets that have gotten out, or everything that has gotten leaked out in the past with all these other past presidents that have gotten leaked out, because then we would know about it. I don't know how to put it in different words, but I hope you understand what I'm trying to say.
You're right. But like what Marlon said, Marlon, trust in the plan. It's trusting God. That's me. When I trust the plan, I'm trusting God. That's the plan. That's the plan that's spoken about is trusting God, and that I do. And so that's and I don't freak out. And we have been doing research for a long time. All of us in here have been doing research for years. Little things that caught our attention here and there as we went through life, and we turned the head and we're like, what's that? In the medical field, or in in the health, in the food field, the nutrition, whatever. But I think what we have here is several incidents happening back to back to back. And that's what causes chaos, right? That's what causes people to freak out. And we remain calm, and that will travel in frequency will travel from here to another person to the next person. And I just think that's the most important thing. There's so much to worry about that we can actually control.
I'm not saying, hey, I don't care what's going on. I'm not saying any of that. I just, they're going to come on here and they're going to tell you the way to think, and oh yeah, hey, this happened, so this is going to happen, and real quickly, Trump comes in with the magic wand and changes the narrative. Now, what are they talking about today? I mean, are they going to spin it to the point where, Trump realizes that he made mistakes, and oh man, I can hear it all right now. Brutal. And Kay and Tin, I just want to give Carol, Apothecary, an opportunity. I know she may be with a patient or whatever, but maybe we'll go to the Kay or Apothecary if you got a minute, or if you want to wait. I'm sure she'll throw her hand up when she's ready.
I didn't realize I had a microphone. I just popped into the space and was listening. Yeah, what have we got? We've got 107 people in the space right now, so there's probably, I don't know, maybe 118 opinions or so, or 120. So you don't need mine right now. It'd just be another opinion on the pile. All right, thanks.
Well, good to see you, Carol.
Oh, come on. We like your opinion, though.
Go ahead, Kay, and then we'll go to Tin Take Back.
Hey, so a couple things that caught my ear. I like how Carmen broke it down because God's the plan and we are the plan. That's the trust the plan. Trust in your Lord and trust in yourself. Adjust your sails. Take back control of your emotions. The whole point of the news media propaganda mockingbird machine is honestly to get you stuck in your emotions, because what happens when you do that is you lose control of your rational brain. Your rational brain is where you can make the most sense of things. And so if you do your best to zoom out, panic for a second, that's fine. Then jump up and down, but don't live there. Jump up and down, get it out of your lymphatic system. Do 5 jumping jacks. For real, it works. It tricks your body. Then come back, sit down, and go, okay, now what does this mean? Also, to your point about the opinions, yeah, we research. We can get a good gauge, but none of us know what Trump is thinking. And, that's the beauty in it, because if we did, so would the enemy. And, he's going to trick us all from time to time. And we're all going to be like, yeah, this is what's going on. And then he's going to, whoopsie daisy, here's what we're going to do instead. And that is by a beautiful, design of, he's the master chess player, the master orchestrator in all of this. He is the only one that knows what's going on. And if you listen to Bongino, there's very few podcasters and people I listen to, but I like Bongino. And he told you when he came back to podcasting that, everything that is given to Trump is already at a level 11 or level 10 situation. All the good options are already gone. We're already in DEFCON 10, basically, if you will. There's not much. It's a reaction. We already hit the brick wall. What's the best option out? He's doing the best with what he has. Do your best to trust God, trust yourself, but also trust who you elected. Let the man cook. You don't know the positions that he's in or what he is in. None of us are in that situation room. None of us are briefed with the information he's briefed with. He's doing the best for us, and he's the first president to do so. Thank you.
Thank you, Kay. That's what I wanted to explain. Thank you, because I'm such bad at explaining things.
It was just, I got this text on Friday. Said, "Hey, are you still supporting that crazy white man in the office?" And this has been a friend of mine that have common sense, but you can see where they're been manipulated. It's so crazy. I cannot believe that people that know that I've supported Trump and I'm a conservative, they're coming out of the closet with just like that. Oh, what about this? Oh, what did and he referenced an intelligence officer. This is all wrong. Iran just wants to be left alone. And nah, man, I just can't swallow it. Go ahead, Tin, and we're gonna take back Benjamin and Kay. Did you want to respond real quick?
Yeah, just real fast, and then I'll drop my mic. That's the thing, Marlon. What you're speaking to, these are people that are fake Trump supporters, fake America First. They've got alternative ideologies of what they want to see done, and they follow Trump's coattails while it suits them, and they appear like a friendly on the field, but they're not. So it's really important to do do your best listening and research skills when you're talking to these kind of people, because I just put out something, I think yesterday, about how certain people that are aligning with Massey, MTG, whatever, are tied into like Texas big money that goes back to Pakistan. And they look like they're Trump supporters, but then, something changes and immediately they're not. And the same thing goes with some of the Maha crew. And so it's very important to just, and I'm not throwing everybody in a box, because everybody doesn't go in the same box together. We're all beautiful mosaics, right? Just because one Maha person is that way doesn't mean they're all that way, just like every other, whatever you want to box people into. But it is important to kind of, question people, just like you're going to question Trump on certain things. It's not necessarily bad, but just know we're doing the best we can with what we're in. The nation doesn't know how bad we really were. When he says we were a dead country, if you do your digging and your research, you'll see how true that really, really is.
Everybody needs to stand on their values right now, not react. There's a lot of things that can happen in a very short amount of time to change the course, right? We all think, oh, we're on this doomsday course. Trump's got us in World War III, and boom. Wait a minute. Hold on. They're talking. Let's stop. We'll see what happens. Go ahead, Julie. We'll go to 10, take back, and then Benjamin. Unless Benjamin's out of time, I'd like to hear from Benjamin.
Okay, Kay, you just made something jar my memory. Like I said, I had to work over the weekend, so I really wasn't on social media too much or looking up what was going on. But I see that this conflict is bringing out a lot of people that we thought were on Trump's side that aren't. Now, Nancy Mace put out a poll yesterday that would you want your kids to go to war for this? And then also Lauren Boebert now is coming out. So, when you're talking about draining the swamp, you're draining the swamp. It's not just Marjorie. How she was. She's totally like, I don't even know who she is. So yeah, there's lots of players, I think, going to be drawn out from this conflict that's going on.
Yeah. Machine, did you want to say something real quick, and then we're going to go to 10?
Hey, thanks for letting me talk. I just wanted to touch. I want to touch on a few things, but yeah, one thing that caught my ear earlier was, we were talking about all the plane accidents and whatnot that's been happening. I remember when Trump first got elected into office this last time, and like right after, it just for weeks on end, plane crash after plane crash after plane crash after plane crash, and then all of a sudden, they just stopped reporting on it. To me, it was very suspect.
I don't think there's much that can shock us right now. So, hey, we all saw the debacle with the collision of the helicopter and the commercial flight in Washington. Are these things adding up? We hear Newark, they've had problems in the past here for months. Well, go ahead, Tim. Why don't you jump in there? Go ahead, Tim. How you doing?
When it comes to everything like this, one, when you get those naysayers saying that if you can swallow this or you can swallow that, just tell them that they're just jealous because they can't swallow what you can swallow. But that's a whole nother story for another day. I'm sorry, I had to throw that in there. But I don't question.
God.
Sorry, Marlon. I don't question Trump on many things at all, because after reading the military stuff and the laws and orders, executive orders, the only thing I do request, and this is just an honest request, if he can somehow provide some relief to the American people, to just give us just a little breathing room so we can focus more on our local counties. Because right now, I'm so strapped of my just time alone. because I'm trying to make ends meet, that I'm stretching myself just a little bit thinner. And I'm afraid that I'm kind of reaching that one point that I might have to let something go because I don't know how further I can stretch myself. But if I can just get a little bit of relief, and if all of us can get just a little bit of relief, we can focus more on our backyards to actually go after these people and try to take back our counties. And that's where I'm kind of struggling at the moment because I want to. I really want to. I've been focusing more on what my county's doing. But right now, it's just hard to get that little extra time because, like I said, I'm just trying to make ends meet. And if he could somehow help us in that regard, that could make the world a difference. And I just wish there was a way to do it, but I don't know what's going on in the background, what's holding him up on that. And, I just got to trust that there's something being worked out. I just wish it was sooner, but I'll keep going and try to figure things out. But if he can do that, that'd be awesome. And that's the only thing that I ask.
Tinfoil, though, didn't he give the largest tax cut in history in the big beautiful bill? You're going to see it in your tax returns this year. The no tax on tips, all the other things he's passed. But if you go to individual states, a lot of these governors are withholding that and not allowing it. So he is trying to help, but then you have to go your local. You have to look at your governor. Look, I mean, Marlon and I could tell you, New Jersey is, they tax and everything. It's going to be soon enough that they'll tax the air you breathe. I mean, it's really not that far off. So he is trying. But then you've got these governors in the states, in these certain states, and I believe Bashir, right? Isn't that your governor? Might be running for president. And, I think he's going against a lot of things that the Trump administration is trying to do to help the middle class Americans. And it's being subverted by their decisions of what's going on in the states. I see Benjamin has got his hundreds there, so I'm going to let Benjamin talk. But yeah.
Yep.
Just one more thing. My governor is actually Brian. I'm in Indiana, but at the same time, with the federal and state tax returns, I actually went up owing this year. I don't blame Trump for it. I actually blame the deep state for it because of the time they had the puppet in there that looked like Biden. But at the same time, if they could do the tariff thing that he talked about, that would help me significantly. And I know it'd help many other Americans significantly. But I know those tax relief things are helping some people because I saw my mom get benefit from that. So I'm happy for her. But right now, I didn't get to see much of it. But I know it's not his fault. I'm not going to blame him. But it's just, I'm like I said, I'm just trying to navigate it. But I'll do what I can.
Well, let's go to Benjamin. Benjamin, how you doing? Welcome up, and then we'll go to your take, and then maybe we can say hello to Chip.
I'm good, thanks, brother. I try to put myself first off. Hi, everyone, love y'all. Secondly, I try to put myself in Trump's position. Jesus didn't appear perfect to everyone, you know. In the situation that he's in with the media and the media blitz and all the influencers in our nation, he's not going to appear perfect to the other side, you know. And I'm one of those people. It's like I can only see so much, you know. There's 360 degrees in a circle. There's angles everywhere. There's things happening all the time that I'm not aware of, that all of us here in this space is not aware of. Like, I've been into a bunch of spaces, Marlin spaces, Carmen spaces, health spaces, like silent spaces. Like, I hear different operations happening all the time. Hey, did you hear about this? Did you hear about this? You know, this child sex trafficking ring taken down, this one, all these fake ballots being brought out, all the different medical manipulation that's happened throughout this country, all these people stealing millions and billions of dollars. You know, it's just all these things, they weren't out in the light, you know, years ago. And it's like, now we're all talking about it, you know. And it's like the narrative for COVID's changed. It's like so many things have changed, yet you still got these people that are saying anybody but Trump, everybody but Trump, you know. And they've labeled the man as Hitler. It's like Hitler. When you look into history, nobody's worse than Hitler, and they've been calling the man Hitler from the beginning, and it's like things aren't as they appear. For one, I trust Trump. Based on we're still here, we're still having these conversations. I'm one of those people that believe investigations were happening throughout the entire time Joe Biden had his illegitimate presidency. I believe 100% that the election was stolen. There's way too much evidence, and just the narrative and the mood and the vibe has changed a lot in America. It's like when I look at a leader, like we've all seen some bad situations go down in our lives, and then when I was younger, I would look at everybody else around and see what's going on. And it's like when I looked at my father, if anything silly was going on, he always looked calm, never looked like anything bothered him. And it's like when I look at Trump, I see the same exact thing. I see all these world leaders, they're all lining up with them. I mean, you guys all just saw the Japanese president come to America, and that was a nice thing. Like, all these world leaders are showing so much love and respect to our president, yet you got all these people saying that he's evil. And it's like nothing like this has ever happened in our lifetime. I've never heard of anything like this, and I've talked to thousands of people like all you have. Nothing like this has ever happened to anything like this. So for me, it's like it's going to happen regardless. And it's like I trust Trump 100% based on everything that he's done, everything that he's shown us. The border's locked up, mail-in ballots he's getting rid of a lot of things. And I'm one of those people that believe, I'll end with this. It's like JFK was assassinated. That was something bad. There was something really bad that happened there. That was quieted. That was shut down. And those types of people have been running our country, and all of this information has come out. And I'm one of those people that believe that there's been a military type of operation that's been going on. It's like if I was president of the United States and I knew for certain that the election was stolen, I would do things to prevent that. I would do things to root that out and destroy those people that would try to hurt the American people. It's like what happened with COVID. That wasn't just, something small. That was something that impacted the entire world. And the world is lining up with Trump, and America will line up with Trump eventually, most of us, because he really does care. And I'll end there. Thank you all. Oh, one other thing, Marlon. If I go down and comment on somebody's post, whenever or if I repost something from your space, it's not showing the link to your space for whatever reason. I don't know if it's me getting zapped or if that's your space being zapped, because I know that operators are coming into all of your guys' spaces because what you guys put out is great information. You guys, you guys are leveling Americans up. That's one of those things that's happening in the background. You guys have leveled a lot of Americans up to what's going on in the world, like where we're at in the world. That way we're lining up, and it's like I'm wondering if there's zapping your space, brother.
You know what, Benjamin? I don't know. And I wish I had the tools or the time or the capability to check it out and root it out. I would really love to do that. And look, that's part of the responsibility of coming up here, Benjamin. If you don't come up here and you're talking about common sense, level-headed decisions and not made by every emotion that comes out on this app, well, then we'll be a lot better off. And I think it's our job to do that. Benjamin, you're just as important in that movement by sharing that information. Why the link isn't on there, I have no idea. Do they want to hold it back? Well, the only thing that I can do is come in here and keep fighting every day, brother.
Well, it's like, brother, I know, like we as an individual, you can change someone's life. And it's like, one thing I've picked up along the way in life was depending on the chief that you have or the leadership that you have, it changes the dynamics of everything. It changes you know, the course of your life. You know, like who's calling the shots matter. And it's like the people that we got running this country, it's like they don't care. It's like when I watch Trump, I know he cares. And it's like I'm one of those people that believe we've been given a second chance, you know, at life, you know. And it's like that's why it's great to come into spaces like this, because of the way you talk. Like Americans, we've been programmed. We don't create the same types of people that we did in the past, and a lot of that has to do with the programming, you know. And it's like, it's kind of like Jesus with his apostles. He you know, he said to him, he said, you know, by promising to follow who I am, you're agreeing to become as I am. You know, that's part of the reason why your children grow up to be like you. That's why we grow up to be like our parents, because we're around them all the time. That's the influencers we have in our lives. And a lot of these influences that are put out into the world are bad influences. The programming's changed, and it's like that's a good indicator of you know, where we're at in the world. Like the conversations are changing, like getting back to talking about the family dynamic, family unit, you know, no matter which side of the pendulum you're on in this war, you know, like both sides are looking at the Constitution and learning about state laws. So like the nation's leveling up at the same time.
Yo, and it's our job, hey, to come up here and give our experience. That's what it is. We're forged by our experiences in life, and that's what gives us some of the stability to be able to come on to an app like this and talk. Hey, if I can level somebody out without having to make them panic, turn on the Trump administration, turn on everything that you've been supporting, because that's the notion. And they want to do it by pulling in their heartstrings. And the first thing out of their mouth, wait, you guys will see. Wait till the first thing that comes out of their mouth, and this was last week, this isn't today, was, oh, you want to put your kids in front of harm's way? Do you want to put your kids out there? That was their new tactic last week. Today, it's a whole different ball game, isn't it? Right? They're talking to the Iranians. Sounds like they're not going to attack the power. You know, where is the argument again today? I think he's doing these things to zap these people's narrative. It sure looks that way. Go ahead, Take Back. Come on. How you doing, man? Then we'll go to maybe we'll say hello to Gypsy, and then we can go to Mitchell, and then we'll go to you, Michelle.
Hey, good morning. Good morning, y'all.
Good morning, Gypsy. How you doing? Then we'll go to you, Tim.
I'm sorry. I'm
You're
back
good.
and forth. No, skip me for a minute. Skip me. I want to say hey to y'all.
Yeah, no worries.
Give me a
No worries.
minute.
Go ahead, Tim. Go ahead, Tim.
Like, see, are you there?
Go ahead,
Thanks for the mic, Marlon. So I agree that well, let me go to the main point that I wanted to talk about, the plan. Trump gave us the plan in 2017. We're not transferring power from one administration to another. We're transferring it back to the people. So there's two parts to that. One, he's giving it back to you, but the second part is that you have to take it up. And how do you do that? Well, we have to learn the law, and we have to learn the Constitution, because that's how the government is supposed to be governed by. You know, the people are supposed to govern the government, not the government govern the people. And how do we do that is we use the Constitution and the grand jury. The grand jury is not mentioned in the Constitution because the Constitution is for the government. The people are to control the grand jury to hold the government accountable. So if you're not learning how to assemble together 25 people in your state and convene a grand jury to investigate the wrongdoing of the government, the maladministration of the government, then you're not doing your job, right? He's doing all the things that we can't control. The federal government is supposed to handle treaties, international affairs, and disputes between states. And then the 19 essential services, right? Printing money and stuff like that. They're not supposed to come to your state, not supposed to come to your county and do that, the cleanup of your county. Now, he did go to LA and Portland and Memphis and a couple of cities because the governor wasn't doing the job in the city and people were dying. You know, he's stopping the murders and stuff like that. But if you're being abused by taxes and stuff like that, he's not going to stop that. That's up to you to step up and stop your government from overtaxing you, and understand the Constitution and the rules that the government is supposed to abide by. And so if you're not learning what those rules are, if you don't know your rights that are established in the 50 state constitutions, enumerated in there, that you reserve all your rights except you're enumerating certain rights that you want the government to make sure that you don't violate my right to property, my right to safety, my right to the liberty and freedom to travel. So if you don't know what those rights are, if you don't know your rights, you don't have any, and you can't enforce them. So I urge everybody to start reading those constitutions, the Bill of Rights and the Declaration of Rights, because that's where it enumerates not all your rights, because you reserve all the rights, and the government is supposed to be instituted for the protection, security, and safety of the people and preservation of property, which is your money, your kids are your property, your house is your property. They're not supposed to be renting your house by paying taxes. You have to learn how to take back control of your out of control government. And I posted in the Purple Pill a picture of the on the back of the wall is New Jersey Constitution, and there's a guy in a desk, and he's got a reset button. Remember that easy button from Staples? It was. Oh, it's easy. It's the red button that says reset the factory defaults, and that's the Constitution. Learn the Constitution and learn what the government is responsible for, and that'll help us get back to where we need to be, and quickly too. I yield.
Truth, take back, most people don't understand that the Constitution is a reactionary document. There are penalties in there. There are reactions that Constitution, our government isn't abiding by it. That is a cause and effect document. Hey, let's go to Julie. You want to say something quick, and then we'll go to Mitchell, and then
Yeah, really quick. I'm sorry, Mitchell. Truth, thank you for explaining it that way. And I was trying to explain the same thing to my husband this morning. Not as great as you can explain it, because I know those, your Constitution and the state constitutions and the rights and what we have to do perfectly. But I basically said to him, one of the reasons we're in this position that we're in, like he's overloaded with just the way the world is and just every day and how people are so angry and everything. I said, it's because, as a free country, we for years and years have just been relying on the government to take care of the problem. So now it's the government saying, oh, we're the ones that are in charge of these things, not the other way around, that we're supposed to be working for you, the people, because we've been so complacent and just allowing things and just living our lives for so long that it's now has to all be undone. And that's the trick, right? It's like you have to go back to that. You have to get people to learn it. In school, these kids aren't learning anything. Like you see what the kids are learning, and it's like, why aren't they learning, their basic math, their basic this and that, but they're not. So yeah, I totally agree. And I just wanted to say that because I was just explaining this to my husband this morning, that is one of the reasons why we're in the trouble that we're in this country, is because we become too laxed and we don't know what our rights are anymore and what we can do.
Julie, you're partially right, because it's not that we become lax. They took it out of the education system. If you read John Locke, it's clear that what the people's responsibility is. And the founding documents, if you read those, it's clear, but they're not there. They took history and civics all out of school. So we were never taught it. So that's part of the problem.
No, 100%. I say it all the time. They need to bring that back. But even just the simple stuff, they're not even teaching really that anymore in certain schools. You're not learning your basics, what you have to know. So yeah.
well, what they have to know and how they're going to, enter the workforce, I definitely know that they're not getting that information. Most of these kids today can't read a freaking tape measure, let alone a mechanical clock, right? Go ask a kid what time it is, right? Let's, just simple things, right? Let's go to Mitchell. Mitchell, how you doing? I'll go to you, Machine, and
Well, it's good to see Marlon, Julie, and everybody. Take Back said something. There's been so much going on since 2017 when Trump transferred the power from not one establishment to the other, but from Washington, D.C., the cabal infiltrated stronghold of Washington, D.C., to we the people. And in a move that will go down in American history, CRC Trump has officially invoked the authority vested in him under Article 2 of the U.S. Constitution, true story, declaring the United States a sovereign nation under common law, no longer under the controlled foreign corporate structure known as U.S. Inc. This is the whole 45-47, where there is a puppet government in position as we speak, while a government in exile is being restored. It's in the Law of War Manual terms, updated in 2015, and then again in 2023. So this declaration of authority and summons, issued and signed directly by Trump, marked the end of Admiralty law rule and the rebirth of the constitutional republic. So this is the era of foreign manipulation, unconstitutional governance, and globalist occupation is completely over. And we don't see it yet because we're still in a continuity of governance, okay, to prevent any type of false flag that will create massive civil war, where our children would have to learn about serious bloodshed on the streets, complete states underwater, and being plunged into the dark ages with hyperinflation. And we do not want that, guys. We want to be out of that. We're tired of the wars. And again, I just want to share that Trump told Iran to open the Straits of Hormuz, okay, or lose every power plant in the country, starting with the biggest, which would plunge 90 million souls into darkness. Okay, but this was never about Iran. Remember, the Strait of Hormuz was the jugular vein of the old financial system's cabal control. 21% of the world's oil passes through a corridor 33 kilometers wide. Now, 33, remember, the satanic cabal uses numerology, not numerology, they use symbolism, which is their downfall. The number on every temple, every lodge, every oath that have ever taken, they build an...
Oh no, Mitchell.
Uh-oh, truth. He's given truth.
Yep.
They do that to him all the time. It's so sad.
Well, there's a couple other people that get it zapped too. It's horrible. Mitchell, we'll come back to you.
Go ahead, Machine. We'll come back to you, Mitchell. We'll drop you down. I don't know. Go ahead, Machine, and we'll go to...
Hey, thanks, Marlon. So I just personally, I mean, I had a conversation. I don't know if you guys do this, but I talk with Grok on occasion. And, we were having a conversation similar to this, like, what's it going to take? What's it going to take? I mean, we've seen so many tragedies. I mean, I grew up in the 80s, and I remember the first thing I ever saw was Reagan getting shot, nothing is, like you guys were saying earlier, nothing seems to shock the American people anymore. I mean, we just got told that our own government, the people that were in power, were stealing our taxes, siphoning it through child daycares, and like, that doesn't bother anybody, but then, when I hear the conversations about the classes that we don't have in school, like shop class, civics and such, and it got to that point in the conversation where, it's basically like by design, it's designed that way. So that way you don't have the time to take up revolutionary stances. You're too busy trying to make ends meet. Just like Tinfoil was saying, I mean, I myself, I worked for a plastics company where I did machine setup, and one of the things that bothers me in the workplace setting is that when you show your capabilities, instead of being appreciated, you're oftentimes taken advantage of, and they just have you do more and more and more, you know. And so yeah, it goes back to this whole design. I mean, it's like they intentionally fill your life with all of these distractions that you don't have time to have shock or awe at the situations that are happening, you know. And you know, at some point we're going to have to break that cycle, you know. At some point we're going to have to say enough is enough. And I don't know if it's even going to happen in our generation, you know. I mean, look at going back to the JFK assassination. Okay, for all we know, and for what we do know, it was an inside job. You know, his own people took him out. You know, I mean, how can you trust a government like that? You know, I mean, we've been taken over. You know, I thought that when the World Trade Centers came down, that it was going to unite America, and we were going to be, you know, God-fearing, you know, country, and all on the same page. And then here now we've got a Muslim as the mayor of New York City, and it's you know, that's appalling. It makes me wonder, what's it going to take? I mean, I'd be willing to bet that if aliens legitimately landed on the White House lawn, the general collective response would be, meh, got to go to work. You know, and it's exactly. Meh. You know, I got bills to pay, you know, and it's absurd, you know. And it's like, I think it was Mitchell who was saying, you know, it's the people's responsibility, and it absolutely is. But as it is, we're already bombarded with 1,000 other responsibilities, not just from home life and work life and social life and all that. It is by design. It is tacitly by design that we are distracted to the point where we don't have the time or the inclination to want to do something about it. And thankfully, we have people out there that they make it their business, you know, to go at these issues that we're talking about. But when it's a single voice against, you know, forgive the pun, but the industrial complex machine or whatever, fucking you're like, it's like David versus Goliath, you know. Only David doesn't have a rock this time. All he has is a constitution, and you know, a Declaration of Independence, you know, and that's it.
Well, Machine, you know, you had talked about how do we fix it, and dude, and unfortunately, it didn't matter if Papa Trump came in here, Elon himself. Do me a favor, hey, we refrain from dropping the F-bomb in space. So I don't post it. It's my own fault, but a lot, you know, I just want to try and keep it as clean as possible so that everybody can listen to it. You know what I'm saying? And yep. Dude, Machine, it's nothing towards you. Anybody else that would come in here, even Papa and Trump himself.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah.
No worries. So basically, you know, look, hey, I look at it the way that you talk about schools, talk about fixing the labor gap, you talk about educating our kids, right? Yes, they have taken that out of it. They took shop out of it. They took wood shop, home ec, because of frivolous lawsuits. It's really the lobbyists and the lawyers behind these lobbyists that actually have beat these trades out of the school. Now you have to pay for them. Right. So if I think, hey, our school system, we should demand more. And I think you're seeing it right now because, hey, homeschooling is up by, I forget, 22%, some outrageous number. Trade schools are up by 28%. So, you know, I think we're seeing it, and we're seeing the Trump administration lay this out. We see them talking about building ships and welding and construction. And, you know, that's what you're hearing out of this administration. So I'm not too quick to turn my cheek yet. I think we've seen the evidence, even in this community, that exact speech from joining small business administration roundtables. That's our speech. That's what the SBA is putting out. So for us, I think we have a little bit more of a foundational there, because I can see it on my side. That's our speech coming out of the SBA, which is really cool. Machine, did you want to respond real quick? We go to Julian and Ben.
No, actually, I meant to hit the 100 button because I was totally agreeing with you, but I accidentally hit the hand up button. So go ahead.
No worries.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, again, this is here we go with it coming around and meaning something. Okay, Trump is trying to dismantle the education system by dismantling the board of federal, what is it, the Board of Ed, and not the Board of Ed, and I can't think of what it's called, the education system, and sending it back to the states. Again, this is going to be our responsibility. Once it's in your states, you have the power to vote. They should be letting us tell our governors and our legislators, this is what we want in the school systems, right? So it's coming back to us. It's coming back to the people to speak up and stand up and say, we don't want these things in our schools anymore, or we want these things back in our schools, or we don't want this program or whatever. So that's another thing that the Trump administration is doing. Again, it's empowering the people, or getting the people to be empowered. Especially like you come into this state, they're still going to keep the Board of Ed what was going on previously, before this happened. And now it's our job to say, no, this is not what we want in the schools, or this is what we want. This is how we want to do it. So yeah, it's all coming right around, and it's still part of what Trump's administration and what he had in mind when he said he was giving it back to we the people.
We have to take advantage of it. We're the ones that have to see that. He can't say, President Trump can't come in here and say, oh, hey guys, make sure you get your kids back in the streets. I mean, he's laying it out there. We're smart enough to realize what it is, right? Okay, Ben.
Thanks, brother. With the Department of Education, if we're just talking strategically, the Department of Education, that's a one-stop shop. That gives our enemies an opportunity to infiltrate one institution and be able to control what an entire generation, what entire people believe, how they see the world. If you've been to college, you've heard of McGraw-Hill. There's 13,363 K through 12 school districts in America. McGraw-Hill provides 100% of the learning material to 13,300 and something of the school districts in America. That's like 99 point something percent. That's one of the indicators that lets you know that America was infiltrated and taken over to a certain degree. This goes back to JFK. It takes time. It takes generations. It's like, that's exactly the reason why he broke up the Department of Education and sent it back to the states, because now you got 50 different states. You got 50 different institutions, departments of education that you got to infiltrate. So he set that back right there. And then at the same time, it gives all these different states the ability to try different things. Within your own state, you can try this way, just in math. They've dumbed down the people on purpose. Another way to see if we've been infiltrated. What language do they speak in Germany? Anybody? Just somebody.
German.
All right.
German.
What language do they speak in France?
The French.
India.
French.
Russia. China. What language do we teach in America?
English.
Every language.
English. We're not English. We're American. It's like the crown. That's why Trump's been trying to point out, we're pivoting away from the United Kingdom. They're no longer, he's made the point to say, England used to be our greatest ally, or that's what we're told, and same thing with NATO. NATO's our greatest ally, we're pivoting away from them. That's why he's talking about sovereignty of our nation, Canada. for instance, I was brought up to believe that, the crown was just in title only. They had none of the power. But when the queen died, that's when China and or not China, Canada and Australia and some of these other British territories, they all held referendums to decide whether or not King Charles or Charles was going to be the head of state for their nation, or if they were going to become a republic. So that what that says to me is they were part of the crown. They fell under the crown. The crown was the head of their state, and that's what they were trying to do in America. You see, when I go back and look at history, places like Rome and stuff, Rome wasn't always the same Rome. It depends on who's influencing, who's leading, and the same thing goes for America and throughout our history, however long that may be. We're not always going to be the same nation. And there's been influences throughout our nation's history that's made a bunch of changes to get us to where we are. We're not the same nation as the inception of this nation. Like, for instance, if you go into the court system, like, for those of you that don't know about D. Oppressor, he's an individual that's here. He talks about sovereignty and things like that. He's had meetings with the Trumps, like that's something that they want to push out to the American people. Like, learn what the laws are, learn what the rules are, learn the world that you live in. That way you don't have to depend on somebody else. Like, it goes back to Proverbs 23:23, invest in the truth, but do not sell it. How do you sell something that you cannot buy? How do you buy something that you cannot sell? And what that is lawyers sell the truth. Courts sell the truth. It's there about money. That's part of the changes that happened throughout time in our nation. That, like, if you go back to 1871, there was a huge influx in the amount of lawyers that happened in our nation, and it's like that's one way to divide a nation up. That's why, like, for instance, the court systems. If you go back and look at how back in the day, child support, alimony, that was only a rich man's thing. Now it is everything that could be monetized. That's what they're doing. They're monetizing it. They've gotten away from sovereignty. They've gotten into, they've changed the laws. And, like, this is one of those times where, like, take what Elon did with Doge and AI. Like, that's one thing that I believe that they're going to do when it comes to teaching and stuff. Like, we can create packages to teach different things, to where it's like cutting out the fat. Like, our children in America used to be in college at the age of 13 and 14. And now when they go to college, they seem like they're still children. They don't fill them with anything good. So I think we could get to a degree where we're creating packages in these schools and teaching to a higher level, kind of like we do in the military. And I'll land with that.
But then you had the Marxists come in, right? At that point, what they want to do is they want to slow every child down. No child left behind. That was the initiative by Bush Jr., right? They wanted to slow every child down to the slowest pace, dumbing the kids down. Do I think it was a big plan in the background? Absolutely. But we're seeing a Trump administration, trying to put these and institute these things back into our schools. It's really the insurance lobbyists and the lawyers that really, that's where the fight's going to be. They just do not have the necessary skills coming out of public school to be able to enter the workforce. No shot. Maybe in some few cases, I'm sure there's some kids that took the advantage of the education, but most did not. Go ahead, Julie, and then we'll go to Skinny.
Yeah, before we go to Skinny, I just time to reset the space here, guys. Please go down to that purple bubble. Please like and reshare the space. If you could also do me the favor of going over to YouTube and Rumble, if you have accounts over there, look up American X Live, and then go over there and give it a thumbs up to get that on the algorithm, because there are people that do not belong to X, and they can listen to it on other platforms. Thank you very much. Okay, Skinny, you're up.
Hey, then also, too, real quick, Skinny, there's some people out there doing some podcasts and stepping up to the bill. It's good stuff to see people inside of the community stepping outside of the box to go up there and, hey, man, voice their opinion. Maybe Americans are just about to that point. Skinny, go ahead, man.
Morning, America. Little late here. Behind you guys, what? So funny.
America.
Merca all weekend. Merca. Dana Bash, sponsored by Dana Bash. I'd just like people to keep in mind that the same cucks that are all of a sudden concerned about cost and boots on ground would have gladly sent your sons and daughters into North Korea, Ukraine, Russia. The list goes on and on and on. All of a sudden they can do math. Just like all of a sudden they couldn't do math in Minnesota. They definitely can't do math in California or New York, but now they can do math this weekend. This is such a plebe show. It's not even funny. Unbelievable. And then gas prices. What's up with gas prices? Yeah? Really? Which oil got stopped that was coming to America? Oh, none. That's right. But the people in charge of the prices will gladly flip the switch because some people dropped some bombs somewhere. Right in front of everybody's face, like a bolt of lightning. Gas is $8, $5. And they instantly blame Orange Man. God, they're so programmed, man. They're instantly, even the conservative people I work with, well, the people are not so happy. Yeah, well, bro, maybe you should check out who's doing it to you and why. What an amazing weekend.
Wait, you know what, Skinny?
What?
Skinny, hold on before you go any further. Do you think it's clear of the people that are going to support and the people that aren't going to support? Do you think it's clear now?
These people out themselves at every turn. Every single one of them. Rather than talk about the actual thing, they just want to blame it on another person. It's no different than the old, tired, literally out the window Republican, Democrat, or Democrats and Republicans, like Michael Savage used to say all the time. Democrats good, Republicans bad. Yeah, no, we're done. Yes, the Panicans are outing themselves at every single turn. Meanwhile, there's a whole bunch of us that bask in the glory of what's being exposed every single day through this whole thing. Not to mention what's been going on for the last, I don't know, 8 or 9 business days. Forget the weekends. 8 or 9 business days. What did Scott Bessent say yesterday, guys? What are all these people doing? What kind of paperwork's been submitted on behalf of Fidelity? Right under everybody's nose, and nobody wants to pay attention to that stuff, do they?
No. That would give them a win.
Right. It's happening. It's happening. Like right in front of your face. But everyone wants to focus on one thing. You can't do that. You cannot focus on one individual aspect and see the big picture. You have to expand your thinking and take your feelings and stick them where the sun don't shine, because your feelings have nothing to do with anything. Literally don't have. It's logic. You have to. We felt our way to where we're at today. They taught us to feel. What about your feelings about this? You know, there's people at my work that don't have to climb poles anymore because they don't feel safe. They don't feel like I can't.
Are really, Skinny? Are you serious? They're making concessions.
You don't have to put. You don't have to put a ladder on a strand if you don't feel safe, and you got to call your boss first. Yeah. I can't put a ladder up on a strand anymore without calling my boss first. That's company procedure. Get out of here, dude. My boss doesn't know half the things I do because he doesn't need to. Anyhow, yeah, feelings are lame. And there's so much positive stuff happening. Go ahead.
My father didn't have said, hey, man, watch your feelings when you go on to that job today and you work with the bricklayers. Make sure you express your feelings. Do you know how far that would have got you?
Dude, And what's funny is the feelings people are all managers now. And then when you tell them, I don't really care how you feel about what I'm doing out here. I was trained to do this. I'm good at it. Leave me the F alone. It's the same thing with everything. My daughter's math is feelings, not 2 + 2 = 4. I don't care. I don't care if it's hard, but you know, you guys were just talking about some of the other things that are going on. They've got these kids so turned around and locked up that they couldn't learn if they wanted to. I've seen it with my own daughter, 2nd grade. It's disgusting. And I spent 2 days in the building that I went to elementary school in, which is now the State Department of Education in Nevada. These people are a freaking joke, dude. They're a bunch of scared, sick, vaxxed up bunny rabbits. They're a mess. Those people are a freaking mess. Marlon, you would laugh your ass off. You just look at them. You just look and you start laughing, dude. Because they're a freaking bungled up mess. Yet they're setting policy and procedure for our children. These people can't even adult, dude. Yeah, eyes wide open. But hey, there's so much winning going on. And if you just look around, please look around and think, discern, use logic. This is nuts, dude. The Iranian thing is nuts. And if you think the Iranians snuck a missile into Israel, I got a oceanfront property in Arizona for you.
Arizona, from what I remember, is pretty dry, brother. Hey, Skinny Man, I hear the feelings talk all the time. You know, hey, keep this in mind. In the UK and British Columbia, they are prosecuting people for social media posts that would hurt people's feelings. How long is that until it comes to the US? Feelings, dude. I want you to go out to that bricklayer and I want you to express your feelings there. You know what they would have done to me? And look, let's get this out. If they're not picking on you, they don't like you. Okay, if they're quiet to you, they're not picking on you and hurt your feelings, they don't like you. So take the good with the bad, buck up, hike your skirt up a little bit. You know what I'm saying, Skinny? Come on. We got to make these kids tougher. Benjamin, did you want to say something quick and we'll go to Machine and Sunlight?
No, I agree with you, brother. It's like take for instance in boot camp, they started a program called stress cards. You know, if it got too stressful for you, you can go sit off to the side for 5 minutes. You know, gather yourself and then get back into the fight. And it's like, brother, we deal with life and death. It's like you know, in the Navy, you're a firefighter. If we have a main space fire, it's 4,000 degrees. It's like there is nowhere to run. You know, there is no timeout, no safe places, not in the real world. And it's like you get what you're building, and it's like I got 8 sons. It's like I want them to be tough. You're gonna be tough, and the reason being is because guys are tough. It's like some of these guys out here in the world, they'll gobble you up. You know, like if you're a lady, if you're a woman, you don't know what it's like to be a guy. You don't know what it's like to be a man. So it's like I want my boys to be tough. You know, for one, because peace through strength. If you look like you'll gobble somebody up, nobody's gonna, you know, talk out the side of their neck or do anything silly when you're around. It's like everybody acts nice when I'm around, and I'm a really nice guy.
Sure you are, Benjamin. You know what, something happened in my kid's life, and we're going to go to Machine and Sunlight, but something happened in my kid's life, right? My kid was quiet one. He, kept to himself, yada, yada, yada. He had this kid that started picking on him. And this kid was probably twice the kid's size. And the kid was going down the hallway, and he was sticking his bottle up his rear end, my son had turned around to him, and this was on camera, right? My son turned around and said, "Hey, man, stop doing that." and I think the kid did it 3 times. And you know what? Finally, my kid had enough. He says, "Dude, you do that one more time, I'm gonna beat you up right here." So the kid did it one more time, and that kid, and I didn't get to see it, and my wife saw it, I didn't get to see it, said that kid had 10 punches on that kid within like 3 seconds. There was a blood spot from where he had the fight all the way to the nurse's office. And let me tell you, after that day, my kid was a legend in that school. Nobody messed with him ever again. You know, for a Cinderella story, for that kid to come out on top, I'm telling you, the kid walked on water after that, and it just changed. You know, it changed everything. But he wasn't going to take it. He wasn't worried about the kids' feelings. Maybe these kids should stand up for themselves. And this was on camera, Benjamin. It was great. As a parent, I know we're not supposed to cheer that on, but it was great.
Well, no, brother, that's exactly the types of things you cheer on. Like your son asked him to stop multiple times. I'm the same way. That's how I train my children, my sailors. It's like, do not mess with anybody. Do not bully anybody. Like, that's how my father was. That's how my family was. Yes, baby. Thank you. It's like, part of like the training that we go through as chief petty officers is, you know, when you correct somebody, it's not just for that individual, it's for everybody else within sight and hearing. You know, this is what happens to you if you step outside the lines. And it's like, if we had more people like that, like that's how America used to be, brother. Like, I know you saw it. If somebody stepped out of line, then a group of guys were going to step in and they were going to handle the situation. It's like, we've stepped away from that, you know, like Daniel Penny and what he did up in New York. Like, that's a perfect example of what a man should do. You step in to protect those that can't protect themselves. And that's how my father was, brother. It's like, I'm a very, very peaceful man, but it's like, if I come across the evil people, and I have, it's like I'll gobble them up. That's who I'm waiting for. You'll never know I'm there. And that's what I tell my children. You know, it's like, you be kind to people, because if you run across somebody like I am, they'll gobble you up. Yes, baby. Sorry.
It's okay. We love the little kids' voices. That's great. That's why we don't say the F-bomb, because kids might be listening.
Well, I'm one of those people. I'm a sailor. You know, I do say cuss words a lot. It's part of our language. It's part of who we are. You know, and I never say them. You know, my intention's never bad, unless it is bad, and then it's obvious if it's bad. If that makes sense, it's like a lot of people miss the intentions. You know, for instance. When this is how I knew things really got silly in America. There was my kids, they were friends, they had their buddies over, and they brought the mother over and her girlfriend over. Well, her girlfriend identified as something, one of those LGBTQ plus things, whatever. And I didn't know that. And we had a conversation. We were talking for like 30, 40 minutes, and it was a great conversation. We were laughing, having a good time, watching the kids. And then when they went to leave, I was like, all right, ladies, you drive safe. And the one that identified like that, she got really upset. And it's like, whoa, lady, like, where is this coming from? I had no clue. Like, that isn't stamped on your forehead, you know? So it's like, that's when I knew a different level of how bad things are. It's hard enough trying to figure out who good people are and who bad people are and what someone's intentions are. It's like, I can't help who you identify as. It's like, a man's a man, a woman's a woman. You know, that whole movement is just silly to me. Like, we've been trying to figure out what's going through women's heads as men since the inception of time, Adam and Eve. And it's like, just for some guy to out of the blue say, you know what, I'm a woman, you know, that makes no sense to me.
Okay. Yeah, that's so true. Who was next? I believe Carmen, I think it was Sunlight next.
Hey,
Yeah.
thanks a lot, man. Skinny, you cracked me up, man, because reminded me of that George Strait song. You know, we got some oceanfront property in Arizona. From my front porch, you can see the sea. And he says property, like property. That's how we talk in Texas. We draw out every syllable. As you're talking, Marlon, about, the Panikins and this, that, and the other, there's a reason why Thomas Paine said famously, these are times that try men's souls. The summer soldier and the sunshine patriot will, in this crisis, shrink from the service of his country, but he that stands it now deserves the love and thanks of man and woman. And that was the winter soldier, the one that withstood all the pain, to cross the Delaware, freezing conditions, no food, very low on supplies, but they took a bold action and they turned the tide in the Revolutionary War. So that's what I'd just like to encourage everybody. Stand it now, and we will have the thanks. We're in the middle of an information war. They want to say that we're divided, that, MAGA is split and all this other stuff, but it isn't. That isn't the case. We're getting stronger. Trump is conducting a masterclass in partnerships and strategy as it stands, like with the Middle East and the announcement today about this pause. We have some assets to get in place to where when we unpause, it's going to be fury. So have a good day. Thanks for the mic, Julie.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks, son.
Yeah, I'm out.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm out in nature right now. So you can probably hear the plane.
I heard the jet overhead, the plane overhead.
Yeah, have a good one.
But yeah, no, you're right, Sunlight. These distractions, these things everything that's happening. I just see it all good. I was just really refreshed to see that truth this morning that Trump put out, saying that he, put the 5-day pause, that all weekend long he was in negotiations. And it just goes to show, they're going to try to say, he went to Mar-a-Lago and he's playing golf all weekend. And well, that we just know that's not true. And, I still see it in fractions with, people that think the other way are against it. Like I was just saying before you came in the beginning of the space, how one of my, and I don't have too many, but liberal friends on Facebook tried to put a side-by-side up of, the whole controversy with Trump, saying the truth that he did about after what's his face died. And why can't I think of his name? Who just died? The FBI director, Mueller. Yeah, so when he died, and she tried to put up a picture of him and then a picture of Kash Patel drinking the beer. I'm like, oh yeah, you on your days off, you've never partaked in alcohol or drank a beer on your day off. But let's not overlook all the good things that Kash Patel and his FBI, that administration has done since they have been in line. But they don't talk about it. They don't talk about all the children that have been saved. They don't talk about all the sex rings and trafficking rings that they've broken up. They are not talking about any of that stuff. The fraud that's being uncovered, because they don't want to talk about that stuff. So they put up silly pictures and try to say that, look what the orange man, look at who he installed in the FBI. What a joke. I wanted to say so much, but it's just better off just to let it go and just keep going. I just keep moving on.
But Julie, you know what? When we have evidence inside of our own community that we know that the Trump administration directly worked with child trafficking, I think the number of the organization of kids that they rescued is in the 50s just from this year. Each time that they come in and say, "Oh, that's."
Oh yeah, no, I know that, but there are certain people that don't understand that or know that because they're not hearing it on their CNN. But there are certain people that don't understand that or know that because they're not hearing it on their CNNs and MSNBC and on their local TV stations. They're not hearing about all these children and all this stuff that who he's working with and who's been rescued. They're just seeing Kash Patel drinking a beer with the hockey team from America from during the Olympics. That's what they're seeing, and that's what they're being shown. And by the way, you're rugging, Marlon.
Yeah. So hey, how about now?
No, you're still rugging.
All right, let's move on. I gotta step away a minute. Be right back.
No problem.
You rugging.
When you guys were talking about, or actually when Skinny was talking about having to deal with the guys that are scared of getting up on the poles, in a strange way, I can kind of relate to what he's going through. Because in my line of work, when we're managing different network devices and in IT and having so many customers, my frustration has been the lack of documentation on things. Like right now, I'm working on one customer that we're supposed to be managing their switches, but there's nothing in our documentation about it. And I'm gonna have to log into each switch, gathering the serial number, the model name, the IP address, and the name, and log into our system because that was never done when they're onboarded. And I've seen this everywhere in IT. It just seems like it's rush, 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 get it done, but no one takes the time to do the paperwork. And I'm like, if someone would stop and just do the small details, the small things, regardless if it's IT or accounting and so forth, I think a lot of these corporations would want to fix themselves overnight to the point where people don't have to put in these long, long hours if we just do it right the first time. And that's been my biggest frustration lately. Truth can vouch for me. He's heard me many times when we worked in the background. But it's just, I guess it's like for me, it's just, I want to do it right the first time. I don't want to rush through it. But in our workforce today, that's all it is rush, rush, rush. And I don't know how to slow it down so we can do it the right way. And it's been my biggest frustration ever entering the workforce. And I just hope that as we change the country, maybe we can change that too.
Well, it's kind of funny that you're talking about that because that's another thing that I was just talking about with my husband this morning. We talk about this a lot about how the work ethic has changed over the years and how people are put into positions. And a lot of this started with the DEI and all that stuff. Like, so my husband, he's an engineer and he works for the gas company. And he sees the kids coming in now where they're not held up to the same standards he's held up to. But then again, they don't have pensions. They don't have investments within their company that my husband has had because he's been there so long. And so these kids get away with, well, I don't really feel like doing that, oh, it's raining out, so I'm not going to go out in the field today because it's crappy outside. And they don't get told, okay, you better go out there because that's your job and that's what you have to do. Because they know if they're told that, they'll just say, well, then maybe I'll just go somewhere else. I'll go somewhere else and make some different money. And, it's changed, right? It's changed, tinfoil. I think what we see are what we expected, especially if you're even a little bit older than what you're seeing now is dramatically different. I see even in the hospital, in the healthcare field. Oh my gosh, I'm what would be considered, old school in respiratory as compared to the students, the kids that are coming nowadays into the field, and just their whole work ethic and how they look at things and how they're there for the paycheck, not so much for their patients and the paycheck. Don't get me wrong, I need money too, and I value my paycheck. However, but I value my job. I value what I do. Hence why I still am doing respiratory, because I care about the patients, and I give my patients 100% when I'm there. I care about them. I'll do anything. I mean, it's not my job to help feed them, but guess what? If I see that the nurses are busy and the nurses' aides are busy, and there's somebody sitting there with a tray and they can't feed themselves, guess what? I'll go in and do it, because that's how I was taught. And that's what I was taught, but you don't see that nowadays. So like when Skinny says, well, I don't feel like climbing that pole because it might be scary, they're told, okay, don't worry about it. Because you know what? If you tell them this is your job and this is what you have to do, they might turn around and say, well, then I'm leaving. I'm see you later. It's just, not good.
Julie, you said kids don't have this work ethic. The bigger problem is they don't have any ethics, period. I don't think any of these young kids these days can even define the word ethic or ethics. That's what's wrong, is there's no morality. That's the whole point of what we're fighting, essentially Marxism, communism, whatever, but it's because of the way societal standards have completely been flipped upside down. So of course they're not going to have work ethic. They don't even know, they don't have any ethics at all. They don't care. They can't distinguish right from wrong anymore. Right? There's no guide to the human conduct, how we conduct ourselves. So that's kind of the bigger issue, is it not?
The rest of the stuff.
All the rest of the stuff.
Absolutely, Truth. Absolutely. So, another good example of also the ethics and not right, and not knowing that, and how and what they're taught in school is what we're going back to too. I had another good example. Now, this should be, especially, if you're a nurse, if you're a respiratory therapist, it should be nursing 101. Okay. And yesterday I had a patient, the nurse called me and I could barely understand her, but she was calling me to tell me that a patient their oxygen saturation was going very low. So I said, okay, well, how much are they on? And she told me how much they were on. I said, okay, do me a favor, go into the Omnicell because I'm by myself. Go get a non-rebreather, which is on a mask form of oxygen. That's your highest amount of oxygen you can give a person without doing something invasive or non-invasive with a mask, basically in layman's terms. She said to me, she goes, what's a non-rebreather? And I'm like, what do you mean you don't know what a non-rebreather is? Now that's nursing 101. When you're in school, you should be learning that. Now, this is somebody that's taken care of, could be your mother, could be anybody's mother. And that was a little scary to me. So where is the failures? Where's the failure for all that? But I see we got some hands up. Carmen, do you know who was next? You want to let ladies go first?
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah. All right. Hey, Rusty.
All right. So I'm going to push back a little bit here. I think we need to be easy on these kids. I don't think that they're all bad and have bad work ethics. And if they do, then that's, a lot of the parents rearing there. My son has great work ethic, good guy, hard worker, loves the overtime, and especially with the new, overtime, no tax on overtime for that certain amount. So, I mean, he's doing his best to get that in. He excels at every job he goes to. I mean, he always ends up like foreman. So there's a lot of good kids out there. We have to be careful. Just like people bash boomers and say they're all ignorant and they're the reason why we got here. That's not true either. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to push back a little bit. I know Marlon's got some good kids. You know what I'm saying? I don't really know what their ages are, but there's a lot of good, hardworking kids out there. How much of this it's hard to tell, isn't it? Like, how much of this is some of these illegals that have flooded in here that got used to living off of, or not just illegals, but foreigners that have come in and got used to living off of welfare. I mean, I don't know. We don't know. I know that my kid's good. I know I have several friends who have outstanding kids that, great work ethics. They excel at their jobs as well and are actual, business owners. So, we got to be careful because that bashing comes out because they bash Gen X and boomers too, is what we're doing.
Yeah. You know what, Rusty, I apologize. And when I say work ethic too, and it's not so much that they don't do their jobs or they're not coming in to do jobs. It's the fact that they don't have what we were given years ago. They don't have those pensions. They don't have the stock options to buy into. They don't have any of that because it's not given anymore at these bigger corporations, these bigger jobs. So if they're not making the money that they're making, and they're told, hey, you got to do this certain ABCs, this is how you do the job, and they don't like being told that, they will just leave and go somewhere else to make that money. That's what I'm trying to say. It's not that they're bad people.
They're competing with foreigners.
Well, they are competing with foreigners. Some of them are. I mean, my husband's company's not really foreign competition. He works for the gas company, but it's just the fact that there's no incentive to go further than what your job description is. Do you know what I'm saying? There's no incentive to do more than you should be doing. And you're only going to come in and do what you have to do because you don't have that pension to look forward to when you're going to retire. You don't have those stock options you can buy into. You don't get the vacation time like you used to get. This is what I'm talking about. These are the things that people that are coming into these jobs now are not the same things that you came into 20, 30 years ago where you had these options now. It's like, my husband, he has all that to look forward to when he retires in a few years. But these kids coming out now, there's no incentive for them to go further into a certain company. They make the amount of money that they're going to make and then they move on.
I still say a lot of that is foreign competition. We know it's happening. It's happening in big companies like power companies too. I mean, they're bringing in these foreign workers to work dirt crap cheap. And the best way I say for kids to get ahead these days, ditch college, go to trade school, learn a real good trade, work a few years and start your own business. That's the only way to move forward these days. But thank you. I just wanted to give a little bit of pushback. You guys know I like doing that.
No, that's okay, Rusty. That was a well taken point. Okay, let's go to Fed Up because we haven't heard from Fed Up yet, and then we'll go to Benjamin, Mac, and Tinfoil.
Yeah, you were talking about. I heard somebody talking about all this stuff going on and everything, and we were talking about this in the Punch Bowl, like the influencers and all this other stuff, and how so many people are starting to get stabbed in the back. You really have to have discernment with these people because, we're seeing so many people getting pushed right now and their influence and, and seeing accounts just blowing up overnight, right? People going from, Alpha put out a post about that. These accounts are just getting these huge follower accounts and the people don't care. It doesn't seem like they care much about who they trample over, who they stab in the back, who they, it's really getting kind of sad. I've had so many of the people I know on here who've had, rooms they go to that, once a narrative gets challenged, they're throwing people out of rooms or blocking people. It's pretty crazy. But good thing is, a lot of us are getting the thick skin to deal with it, or had it to begin with, or we're getting the discernment to figure these people out, which is good. We're seeing so much of that right now, and so I just encourage people. We really need our discernment big boy pants pulled on. Keep your eyes open and don't be surprised sometimes where it's coming from. There's been a lot of people that have told me they felt blindsided by the people that have done some of this stuff to them. And I'm like, you got to keep your eyes open because you never know who's going to fall for, they'll either start getting paid and they like it or they get, the target of an op and they get turned, they get certain information fed to them that may be true or not true or, and pushed a certain way. And that can get them going a certain direction. That's, maybe not the best sometimes. So, but that's all I had, I just heard y'all talking a little bit about that and we were discussing that earlier and it seems like a pretty big topic right now because it's happening so much.
That's it. Take back on a daily, right? I mean, Fed Up on a daily. Are we finding out like who the real ones are and who not the real ones are? That's for sure. Watch who you follow. They say it all the time. Make sure you look into what they're posting and how they flipped so quickly. And it's just, like I said, that one of the biggest takes is, well, I voted for Trump 3 times, but so let's watch for those. Okay, Benjamin, you're up.
Well, who was that guy with the aviator glasses that blew up and he just flipped on Trump over Iran? Like that's a perfect example. Like he blew up out of nowhere and then had all of his following built on Trump, and then he just turns on him, flips on him. Um, we were talking about the breakdown of morals and things like that, values in America. Like I'm one of those people that, for one, believe that it was purposely done, and for two, it goes back to the symbols and the idols that you put in front of people. Like athletes, actors, movie stars. Like podcasters. Like these children, that they're very impressionable, and they don't realize that you're only getting part of an angle. Like a lot of these entertainers, you go, they act like they love you and everything, but they're charging you $5,000 to come to their concert or whatever, buy all their paraphernalia. It's like I think we need to get away from those types of idols. Like that's why, like one of the big things in the military and the service is leading from the front, being out in the front, like to where your sailors can see you. It's kind of like being a parent, being a father, mother, you're where your children are. That way you can teach them and correct them. And like you're the person that's filling all those gaps, all those angles to get them up to the level that you are. And the same thing goes with your sailors. That's why you're out in front. You're that symbol. You're showing them how to act. It's like I can't possibly tell you how to react in each situation in life as my child. It's like I can't prepare them for all the different types of bullies out there. I can, it's like I'm not gonna be there to see the type of bully that you're standing in front of, because some of them you got to walk away. Some of them you gotta handle it. And it's like that's why as leaders you're out in the front. Your sailors, your children, like they watch you and they see how you react, and then we mimic each other. Like we really do mimic each other. Like my children will mimic me. I see other people's children mimic them. It's like they mimic you on how you appear. So it's like being more conscientious in what you say and what you do. I think that's something that needs to be brought to the forefront. Like that's what we teach you in the military, how to appear. It's like my sailors always knew, when you leave this space, you're a reflection of who I am. So don't be out there getting your head bashed, and doing some silly stuff. It's like that's the same thing goes for my children. People tell me all the time how, they're so polite and they're so nice and they're funny and all this. And it's like, yeah, they're like their father and their mother. Like we want them to be on a certain level. Like Rusty was talking about her son being, a rock star. And it's like that's what we need more of. We need more parents to be, caught up to what a good parent is, because a lot of these parents, like for instance my mother, she was in and out of foster care. Like she got raped quite a few times when she was a child. She got beat up by a lot of guys when she was coming up as a young adult. She had 3 kids at the age of 21 and she was a widow. Like she went through some things. She didn't have great parents that were looking out for her, like trying to build her up. Like her life was chaos. So that's what she knew when she was an adult. I don't hold it against her. Like she only knew what she knew. Like she loved her children, she tried, but it's like I'm one of those people that believed if she had good parents in her life, good people in her life, she would have turned out to be, somebody different. It's like I know for a fact if I hadn't joined the military, I'd be a completely different person than I am, So it's like we can be that type of impact on other people and change, their perception on something, the course of their lives. It's like it really matters the time that you spend with your children, and I'll land with this. Like my sailors and my children, if they ever stopped me and they needed my time, I would always stop whatever I was doing and listen to them, because the way we teach is if you're not willing to listen to your own children, who in the world is going to listen to them? So give them your time and show them and teach them. It's like that's you. So it's like you get to continue on living forever. So it's important to me that I put as much into my kids as I can to prepare them for as much as possible, because you can't prepare them for everything. So it's like That's why it takes a village. It takes us looking out for each other and each other's kids and families. It's like that's how America used to be. Let's get back to that.
Amen. 100%. And it's the younger generations that are now having their own children. That's the scariest ones because they don't have what we were growing up with. It's very scary. Carmen, are you there? Are you going to be there for a while?
Yeah, I'll be here.
All right, because
Yeah,
I
I'll be
have to
here.
drop. I have to go. My husband's home, and I have to get in the shower. We have to a few things we have to get done. So I know Marlon stepped away. So just tell him I said thank you very much for allowing me to co-host. And please, guys, go down to that purple bubble one more time and like and reshare the space. And Carmen, take over.
Thank you, Julie. Timful.
Have a good one, Julie. Have fun, be safe. As for the work thing, I have to kind of agree with Rusty there because my experience hasn't been with the younger generation. My experience has been kind of like with the older generation, but it's not all of them. I think mostly the issue that I run into is not that they don't care. It's just we just don't have time. It's just everything is so rushed these days. It's like when you set up a network, especially with a firewall and the network, those stuff that I do, you can't rush those things because there's a lot that goes into set up a network, planning it out, seeing what equipment you need, um, seeing how many users you have, and then there's the configuration, the install, the documentation. I mean, there's just so much that goes into it. And I just think as a society, we just need to slow down just a hair, just so we can hit all those points. And as for the other things, as for the one thing about the family unit, and Ben, you kind of remind me of this one. Last night I watched a video. It caught my attention, and it was about a 14-year-old named Parker Levette or Lorette out of Texas. It was a video that apparently was very famous down there. It was the video of his dad filming him in a truck, and they got into a dispute with his mom and his stepdad. He didn't want to go to his mom or stepdad due to some issues going on in the house, and he wanted to go with his dad. And I'm very blessed and thankful for the parents that I've had. They were very loving, caring. I didn't have to deal with narcissistic people in the family. But yesterday was a very big learning lesson watching the video about how narcissists can really be detrimental in the family. And when I watched it yesterday, especially the mother, it was amazing seeing all the signs that were popping up that really made me sit back and go, whoa, wait a minute. This is not the way it's unfolding the way it should be. And basically, long story short, I think we have to look at our family courts and how those are set up because there's a lot that goes on that I never was aware of. I knew there was domestic disputes and I know there's bad people on both sides, but the amount of manipulation I was seeing in this video, it was amazing. Like by the time I got done watching, my blood was boiling so bad. I actually had to go do something just to calm down because I felt so sorry for the kid. I know that many times in search and rescue, I had a moment where very similar. We were trying to search for a 17-year-old that ran away. We found him. He was okay. He was actually running down here to join the monks in Bardstown, Kentucky, and kind of get into his. He wants to get more into spiritual beliefs. His dad shows up from Ohio, computer programmer, and the only thing the dad cared about was getting his son back so he can go back home and finish what he was working on. It made me so mad that my chief grabbed a hold of me and saying, "Oh, come here, come with me." And he gave me a job to do because he knew I was going to go say something. And I would gotten a lot in trouble for it. But I think as the family unit, one thing we have to look for is kind of holding parents more responsible for bringing kids in the world because there's a lot of parents out there on both sides that shouldn't be parents. And it was amazing that, like I said, the video I watched yesterday was a very big learning opportunity for me. I can go find it, post it down in the pill. And I forced myself to sit through it because I wanted to learn. I want to learn what a narcissist was. And I saw a lot of signs out there, and I had someone that with me that dealt with narcissists before, and they were able to provide some resources for me to learn more about it. And when I went to explore those resources, sure enough, the same signs they talked about is ones I was seeing in the video. And so that was like I said, a big learning experience for me, and I'll land there.
Thank you, Simple. I'm with Rusty on the children. My children have done very successful. So I think every generation has a little bit of problems here and there in it. So let's go to Sunlight.
Yeah, hey, trying to get that mic off. Wow. So Carmen, I can't believe you're up early again after, I had insomnia last night, folks, and so I was like 3 or 4 in the morning Central Time, and Carmen was hosting a space then. Did you even get to sleep?
Yeah, I slept. I slept all day yesterday. Up till late last night, well, till last night, and then I slept some more last night.
Okay. Well, just take care of yourself, because we need you around. Um, so when you're talking about incentives, for the young people, they're constantly bombarded with this notion that AI is going to replace them, that the American dream is dead, that they can't afford houses, and this, that, and the other, and a lot of that is true. We managed to get ourselves into 40 trillion in debt. What do we get for all these foreign interventions, and how does that benefit America? All these narratives. Get planted. So we have a lot of work to do, to keep the positivity flowing. And, I believe that a lot of it is a spiritual war, because the purpose in life is the motivator. If you feel like there's no stake for you in this country, you're not a stakeholder, then you're basically transient or non-participant in the future of the country. So we need to build stakeholders and not dependents. And unfortunately, the world is lined up against our young people, with social media and everything else. So I think from a spiritual warfare perspective, I ran across a booklet put out by a Catholic priest named Josh Johnson, and he is out of a parish in Louisiana, and he has a booklet out, overcoming the 7 deadly sins. And when you look at the 7 deadly sins, these were, codified by Pope Gregory in 600 AD, after a lot of Christian theologians, Catholic theologians, looked at what keeps humans from a closer relationship with God, and they narrowed it down to these 7 areas. And it's very important because you see them all in motion right now, from pride to envy to greed to jealousy to anger. We see them in motion, to sloth, right? And we're talking about how lazy, the kids are. Everything is, at their fingertips, and yet there's no motivation. So, I think it's a powerful booklet. If you're so inclined, I put it down in the purple pill, a little ditty on it, or a little thread on it. And I think it's worth the look. And, if we can overcome those and lead by example, then our young people will follow right behind. But it's about stake, having a stake in the game. And Trump, I believe, that's his number one mission, is to revamp the American dream and to, enable that stake to be had, by the next generation, where it seems so far out of reach. So we just have to be patient. The conflict in the Persian Gulf will come to an end. It's been the status quo is unacceptable. We cannot allow, Iran to get a nuclear weapon. I mean, look at all the drones that they fired on their neighbors. They've been a threat in the area, a threat in the region to the prosperity. We've been bogged down in that region for decades, and it's time, Trump sees the moment, and he seizes the opportunity to, get us out of the quagmire that is the Middle East, and to pivot and to focus more on the growth areas of Southeast Asia and Asia in general, and containing China. And with that veil being lifted, you have Israel on one end with the technology and the trade prowess, and right on the Mediterranean, you got the Indian uh, Prime Minister Modi on the other end, and there's the IMEC corridor, the India Middle East corridor, and in between you got a lot of countries with a hell of a lot of cash and with like zero diversification. And so between those two and the Gulf Coast, the Gulf countries and the Persian Gulf with all the cash, you know, they're going to create this trade corridor that's going to bring prosperity and security to the region instead of jihad. And that's a good thing, you know. So that's the end state, and it's within the grasp of all the players in the region. That's why you see them lining up. That's why you see the 22 nations have signed on to you know, enable trade to get through the Straits of Hormuz, including Gulf Coast countries. That's why you see the Abraham Accords, you know, taking off, and that'll take off even faster, you know, after the specter of Iran terrorism is removed. So anyway, there's a lot of hope in there, but we need to make sure that we're encouraging our young people to see that vision, to see that the American dream is alive and well, and support this president as he brings down, you know, mortgage interest rates and the cost of everything, and wages are rising, you know, in this country, you know, outpacing inflation, and that's another net positive. So a lot of positive things going on. Thank you for the mic, Carmen, and I hope you take a power nap, you know, later. Have a good one.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much. Let's go to Fed Up.
Hey, Coleman, I don't know if you saw my hand. I just want to say, if I can join the queue.
Go ahead. I didn't see you.
Yeah, Mitchell was before me.
Sorry, go ahead.
Thanks, Coleman. God bless you, sister. So, yeah, the most concerning to me is the disconnection that the evil has done to the youth and for many people to God and God's law and the heavenly laws that preside and keep law and order in the human world that we are all part of as a human species, where we bleed the same blood, we breathe through our lungs, we have a heart, you know, we've been made in God's image. And the complete degeneration of godly principles, values, morals that have been intentionally disconnected need to be reconciled. And God had enough in 2017. He sent his commanders, particularly Trump, okay? And through God's commands, manifested through military laws and orders of the Holy Land, which is the Republic, authorized by the Holy Land's commander in this time, as we are in Revelations, biblical revelations, divine times, Trump and his generals, his admirals, and his loyalists of the Republic, all the way down to us, the heart of the nation, okay, which is the heart of the nation where we are now in this war of wars, to set into motion the elimination of the evil and then the seizing back of God's systems that were bestowed upon men all through the ages, okay, all through the ages of our bloodlines. And then to transition us with truth, hard, painful truth of what they did to us, what they've done to the children, and, you know, where we are now. And so that will be very painful. There will be a lot of shock and awe, Red Sea, to see certain characters appear, to see certain things. Our lives are about to change in a profoundly powerful way. And so the light at the end of the tunnel, okay, the heart of the battle, the sweet of the victory, is the golden age. Oh, and what a golden age it is, folks. Can't you feel it? Can't you sense it? Can't you know it? Yeah, you know it deep in your soul. You came for something, right? And we are standing on the precipice of that something that only you know. You know your duty in this world, in this next stage. You know your purpose. And you know, we might not see the future, but we understand what we're about to become as the heart of the nation, which have been enslaved for so long, right? and used and abused, and we know what they've done to us. So that's why it's so hard to believe. That's why the youth of today are so lost, so confused. Atheism is a trend. Transgenderism is a trend. Sexualization of children, for God's sake, is a trend. Minor attractive persons, for God's sake, hello. The COVID-19 bioweapon to depopulate, but it's a safe and effective vaccine. The blood trafficking coin, Bitcoin, which people made hundreds of millions of dollars, and that's okay, you didn't know, but now you know it was a blood trafficking coin. Okay? So everyone has choices, but it was but disguised as the new sovereign, decentralized security of people's wealth. No. While the real ones, XRP and XLM, being persecuted. My point is, guys, war is based on deception. And in this world, which is the garbage dump of the cosmos, I guess I had that saying a while ago, an anonymous source. But anyway, this is the garbage dump of the cosmos. This is where fish eyes and pearls are jumbled together. So it's confusing. We don't know. We can't see. But do we believe just because we don't see? Or do we not believe? That's the faith that has to be reconciled and resolute to God and His army. And how do you resolute that? Well, by understanding the laws and orders, understanding what God is instructing His commanders in this world to do. From Iran to China to Russia to the US to South America to Antarctica to Africa. Everywhere there are human beings, you have a choice now. Do good or do evil. Do good and you will ascend, and you'll take your rightful place. Do evil and you will be hunted. As Trump would say, Coleman, I was the hunted, but now I'm the hunter. And God have mercy on my enemies, because I sure as hell won't. General George Patton Sr., okay? So again, we're going to see very serious things about to happen, everybody. But for good. With Iran, they're all being subdued. All evil is being subdued, neutralized, eliminated, exterminated, obliterated, whatever you want to call it. It's the great cleanup, all purge of all evil, because no evil can exist now. And once that happens, especially with Iran, because Iraq is good to go. Iraq's about to revalue. If you listen to if you're in the Patriot groups, if you're in the Signal groups, if you're on the calls with the U.S. Treasury sources, talking to the Anons, talking to the Patriots, there are a lot of great Patriots out there, man, including in this room, have great sources and great calls and great Signal groups. Amazing. And I'm in a bunch of them. I'm like, it's amazing what they have and what's going on and what's about to happen. But again, the sources are all pointing to green. Why was he wearing a green tie, and why did he say oil is going to drop like a light? Because they are. Everything's going to be tokenized through gold, pegged by gold, and that hedges against inflation. So that's one of the things. Then you've got a tariff dividend, you've got no income tax, no property tax, no capital gains tax, no inheritance tax. Okay, it's fabulous. It's phenomenal what's about to happen. Military tribunals, we're all going to see. And again, I want to mention why I say this is because, and I'll land with this, I know I'm long-winded and there's 2 or 3 hands up, but because of the voter rolls, and you're talking about the midterms and the primaries, the voter rolls, they needed to be cleaned up. The Commander-in-Chief has authorized many executive orders that have been ignored. When you ignore, as a governor or a mayor or a city council official, a precinct chair, either any way you want to cut it. If you ignore Commander-in-Chief's executive orders to clean out the voter rolls in order to go to so we the people can have clear elections, what is that? Treason. So you're going to see a lot of arrests very soon, and that's why Trump is about to go with the EAS, the National Security Authorization Act. Martial law, shutting down, bringing attention to what is going on, and then go ahead with clean and clear elections, which will happen afterwards. So it's very interesting, guys, because no federal judge can intervene, and any federal judge that tries to stop Trump will be arrested for treason as well. So again, it's an incredible thing. It's criminal time, and I'll come back around. There's so much going on, guys. But yeah, the best is yet to come. I love what Trump is doing. I'm grateful, and I'm grateful to all of you that understand what is going on, because you are few and far between, guys. You can't talk to most people like this. They can't handle it. They don't even know what the executive orders is. They wouldn't know what Q is. They think we're all a bunch of Q-tards and nut jobs and crazies. Okay, but I'm grateful to be with all of you.
Q-tards.
Thank you, Mitchell.
Carm, we're all Q-tards.
Q-tards.
Hey, and I'm sorry.
I want to.
Okay.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Sorry about that. I'm kind of down to the end of it. Do we want to? Maybe we can go through a couple hands, and I gotta go.
Yeah, I was gonna play a little clip. Go through a couple hands, and then I'm just gonna play this one little, like 2-minute clip from Trump that I think is the most important message we could get from him.
Go ahead, Benjamin.
Go ahead,
I'm telling you guys, I got like 30 seconds apiece, and I gotta go, man. Go ahead, Benjamin.
Fast track. Yep.
Well, real quick, just look what Trump did with the airports and ICE agents. He didn't ask Congress for permission. So Trump is doing things that isn't normally done. So like things aren't as they appear. And then real quick with these custody courts, both lawyers are looking to win. You know, these judges, it's one of those things you don't know what it really is until it affects you. Like I was on the outside, and then once I got to see what it was behind the curtain, they didn't allow me to bring any witnesses in. Like that's how bad it was. Like that's how jacked up these courts are, these ideologies that we're dealing with. Like I'm one of those people that believe a lot of these judges and lawyers and stuff, like Trump pointed out, the biggest lobbyist group in America is the lawyer lobby. So like he's going to go after these judges and lawyers, and I'll land there.
Thanks, Benjamin. Go ahead, take back.
Again, thanks for having the space, and thanks to Mitchell. He's always got a good a good take on it, and he brings us back to the military as the only way. I yield.
Thank you, take back. Tim Full.
I'll be quick. If we want our youth to start taking work ethic serious again, I think the first thing we got to do is make companies honest again, because most companies are not honest today, and they will lie, cheat, and try to cheat you out of your benefits whenever possible. So we have to make them honest and treat the employee as a value asset again.
And I think the way we do that is getting involved in our communities. Sunlight.
Yeah, the free ride is over. You know, Trump put NATO on notice. He's put the UN on notice, the World Trade Organization coming up on notice, the Middle East on notice. You know, our Navy has provided the guarantee of maritime trade, you know, for decades. And, you know, what kind of benefit do we get? We're 40 trillion in debt. And he's like, you know, it's time to pony up. It's time to become interdependent partners in trade and security instead of, you know, creating these dependencies.